Li, a humble scholar of modest means, initially sought solace in the marketplace, yet fate intervened, drawing him into the tumultuous escape of the esteemed Su family's daughter, unveiling the intricate power struggles within the court. Alongside Su Jiyue, Cheng Jing, and Yao Qiniang, he navigates the perils of internal strife and external threats with wit and resilience, enduring the upheavals of his homeland and the treacheries of the world, all while facing the relentless pursuit of Han Luochen. Throughout their journey, the group transitions from mutual distrust to a bond forged in life and death, resolving crises with laughter and determination, ultimately composing a stirring ballad amidst the chaos. Chapter 1. A gust of wind through the tattered mat. The bustling streets of Nanshifang were particularly lively today, filled with the clamor of vendors, banter, and the enticing aromas wafting from greasy paper packages. The spring breeze swept through, yet it could not dispel the vibrant essence of the marketplace. Li grasped a worn scroll in one hand and clutched his already deflated coin pouch in the other, surveying the throngs of people with a heavy sigh. The recent failures in the imperial examinations loomed over him like a weighty cloud. While others reveled in joy, he alone bore the chill of despair. Li Xiandi, in trouble are we? A familiar arm, pale as green onions, draped over Li's shoulder from the street corner. It was none other than the glib Cheng Jing, clad in a blue short coat, with a red ribbon tied around his waist, exuding mischief. Cheng brother, do refrain from mocking me today. Even the heavens cannot mend this empty belly. Li replied with a wry smile, shaking a copper coin from the folds of his scroll. Perfect. An empty stomach only sharpens our craft. Come with me. Cheng Jing winked, as if he had stumbled upon a great treasure, dragging Li toward the end of the alley. A long queue formed in front of the fried dough stick shop. Cheng Jing, ever observant, leaned in and declared, "Do you see? Old man Su is sharpening his knives again. It seems there will be excitement today." Li had little interest in spectating, but at that moment, a figure suddenly burst forth from the alley, hair disheveled and dress caked in dust, with bloodstains on her boots. She crashed through the bamboo fence, stumbling, tightly clutching a small bundle wrapped in cloth. The crowd erupted in astonishment. Is that the daughter of the Su family? How did she end up in such a state? Su Jiyue, the pampered daughter of the Su household, was instantly mistaken for a street urchin by the onlookers. Li paused, taken aback, and murmured, "How curious. How could this lady be?" "Enough chatter. She's rushing toward you." Cheng Jing seized Li's scroll and shoved him toward the wall. "You're known for your benevolence. Today, you shall save a life." Just as Li was about to protest the absurdity, he saw Su Jiyue sprinting toward him, her eyes bright and breathless, urgently whispering, "May I borrow your hat?" Before he could respond, she yanked it off his head, donned it backward, and swiftly concealed herself behind him, resembling a small, frightened monkey. Behind them, several burly men in black pursued with menacing intent, brandishing whips, and demanded, "Has anyone seen a girl pass this way?" The crowd fell silent, exchanging wary glances. Cheng Jing, unfazed, replied nonchalantly, "We are but idle folk. Who can discern whether the figure is male or female?" Li's heart raced as he noticed Su Jiyue glancing at him, signaling for him to speak. Steeling himself, he declared with utmost seriousness, "If you seek someone, you must adhere to the laws. Trespassing in a private alley is against reason. Why not report to the authorities?" The men in black, seemingly reluctant to engage further, glanced around and noticed a group of elderly women at the alley's entrance, gossiping and eyeing them with growing concern. With a disgruntled remark of "Don't blame us for meddling," they turned to leave. The chatter in the alley dissipated. Su Jiyue exhaled in relief, offering a crooked smile. "Thank you both for your righteous aid. Without this hat, I fear my life would be in jeopardy today." Li, gazing at the crooked hat now in her possession, found himself in a state of bemusement. "May I inquire why you have attracted such peril?" In a lowered voice, Su Jiyue replied earnestly, "My father, Lord Su, has been wrongfully imprisoned, and the Su household has fallen overnight that I am being hunted by treacherous foes. My narrow escape today is due solely to chance." Cheng Jing, ever intrigued by fresh tales, especially those involving beautiful damsels in distress, grinned widely. "In that case, why don't the three of us work together? Let us find a safe haven and devise a plan to..." Su Jiyue raised her gaze, a flicker of determination in her eyes. "I appreciate your kindness, but I cannot burden you both." Li sighed. "We are all adrift in this marketplace. What use is it to speak of burdens? Besides, you have worn my hat. This hat, long unwashed, signifies our shared fate in this chaotic world. I cannot allow you to reap the benefits alone." Cheng Jing chimed in, "Indeed. Once you step into our Nanshi Fong, you are one of us. Do not refuse. Su Jiyue jest forged an unspoken bond among the trio. As Li Li scrutinized Su Jiyue, he noted her disheveled appearance yet calm demeanor, revealing a hint of streetwise cunning. The winds of change had only just begun to stir. Who would have thought that amidst this tattered mat, a flicker of vitality could emerge? Let us head to the Jianghu Inn. I have acquaintances who can provide shelter, Cheng Jing proposed, pulling Li Li and Su Jiyue into the throng. Navigating through the bustling marketplace, they finally arrived at a small inn adorned with a green wine banner. The proprietress, Yao Qiniang, was haggling with a burly man when she caught sight of Cheng Jing and recoiled as if encountering a plague. Pointing a brush at him, she exclaimed, "If you owe money, even the King of Heaven cannot grant you credit." Cheng Jing grinned sheepishly. "Sister Yao, today is not a day for my usual feasting. We have pressing matters at hand. We require the most secluded room you have." Yao Qiniang scrutinized Su Jiyue, and then turned her gaze to Li Li, sensing an unusual atmosphere. With an impatient slap on the counter, she declared, "A good room can be arranged, but payment must come first." Li Li gritted his teeth and fished out the remaining coins. "I seek only shelter from the storm. I promise to repay you, Sister Yao, for a night's stay." Yao Qiniang blinked and, noticing the crooked hat, appeared to piece together the situation. She tossed a set of keys at them, saying, "Third floor, east side. Don't cause any trouble. If anything happens, don't expect me to recognize you." The trio felt as if a great weight had been lifted as they settled into a small room repurposed from a storage area. The room contained a bed and 2 stools, appearing rather shabby. Yet in life, the most challenging aspect is having a roof to shield one from the elements. Li Li felt a sense of security. Once seated, Su Jiyue's expression softened, though her guard remained high. Li Li poured warm water, his gaze fixated on the bundle, sensing something amiss. "If you trust us, Cheng brother and I can vouch for your innocence." Though his tone was lighthearted, his eyes were earnest. After a moment of hesitation, Su Jiyue spoke softly. "Inside this bundle are letters and accounts crucial to clearing the Su family's name. However, I am uncertain of how many traps Han Luochen has laid. Acting recklessly could cost me my life." The atmosphere in the room grew heavy, yet Cheng Jing broke the tension with a grin. "Now this is intriguing. Han Luochen, so audacious, thinks he can swallow us whole. Rest assured, while the marketplace is rife with chaos, it also harbors camaraderie at that moment." Yao Qiniang's voice rang out from outside, scolding, "Hurry and settle down. If you cause trouble tonight, I'll toss you down the stairs." Li Li, Su Jiyue, and Cheng Jing exchanged glances before bursting into laughter. As dusk descended and the sounds of the marketplace faded, warmth crept into the humble room. Unspoken, they all understood that this day was merely the beginning of the storm in a chaotic world, and the tempest had yet to arrive. When the inn's oil lamp extinguished, Li Li recalled the old hat now resting in Su Jiyue's possession, marking the commencement of their flight. The night in the capital was louder than the day. Chapter 2. The Market Turmoil. Li Xindi, watch your step. Cheng Jing exclaimed as he hastily grabbed Li Li's sleeve, barely pulling him away from a stall selling fried tofu. The bubbling oil pot was alive with golden pieces of tofu dancing within, the enticing aroma almost overwhelming. Li Li swallowed hard, his eyes filled with longing. But Su Jiyue was already preoccupied with the paper scroll concealed in her sleeve, her brow furrowed with concern. A commotion erupted behind them as 2 constables squeezed through the crowd. The townsfolk instinctively parted to make way, whispering amongst themselves, "Who are they chasing? Why disrupt our meal?" Cheng Jing, quick-witted, snatched a tattered straw hat and placed it on Li Li's head, while he himself cleverly lifted his coat, pretending to stagger like a drunken man. The constables seemed to have a target in mind, scanning the area before their gaze landed on Su Jiyue. Just as she looked up, their eyes met, causing her face to pale significantly. "There, it's that young lady," one of the constables shouted. Instinctively, Su Jiyue took a half-step back, her shoulder trembling slightly with the weight of the scroll. "Li Li, we must move." Her voice quivered yet was subdued, akin to a dove's feather brushing against the air. Li Li's mingresa. If they focused solely on fleeing, they would surely be trapped at the entrance of the southern market. Yet, if they blended into the crowd, they might find a way to escape. However, before he could contemplate further, Su Jiyue was already cornered by the constables at the tofu stall, where the vendor, old Han, scolded, "What are you doing? You can't disrupt my stall while chasing debts." Seeing the situation unfold, Cheng Jing sprang into action, deftly moving to Su Jiyue's side. Leaning close, he whispered, "Follow my lead, do not hesitate." Before his words had fully left his lips, he snatched a ladle from beside the oil pot. Raising it high as he called out, "Gentlemen, care to try my family's tofu? Only 2 coins, and it's a steal." The constable, taken aback, hesitated, fearing the hot oil might splatter, and retreated cautiously. Seizing the opportunity, Li pulled Su Jiyue to the left, while Cheng Jing jovially mingled back into the throng of vendors. The market, already chaotic, surged like a school of fish, voices of vendors and shouts of customers intertwining. At that moment, a woman named Yao Qiniang, carrying a basket of live shrimp, spotted the trio's plight and immediately recognized the urgency. "Over here," she called, swiftly tossing the basket towards them. They got in quickly, without waiting for a reply. She shoved the basket into their arms and leapt in front of the shrimp stall, feigning innocence as she cried out, "Gentlemen, my shrimp are precious. Please do not trample them." The constable, momentarily stunned by her antics, and now with mud on his shoes, hesitated to act. Cheng Jing, stifling laughter, remarked quietly from within the basket, "Yao Qiniang, you're fierce. Even the constables are intimidated." As Li struggled within the basket, gasping for breath and nearly caught by a shrimp claw, Su Jiyue couldn't help but stifle a laugh. "We need a plan," she said softly, her expression resolute. "We cannot hide indefinitely. We must find a way out." Li touched his nose and glanced toward the bustling crowd outside, his gaze brightening. "I have an idea." Cheng Jing mumbled from the basket. "Are we really going to storm the capital smelling like shrimp? How could this idea possibly reflect well on my reputation?" Su Jiyue lowered her voice. "You and Yao Qiniang take the back alley. I will enter the eastern district with Li and look for a chance to regroup." Yao Qiniang nodded, her eyes glinting with mischief. "I know the area. The Eastern District Lantern Festival will be lively tonight. We can slip into the crowd, and the constables won't find us." Cheng Jing raised an eyebrow, grinning widely. "Excellent. In the midst of the bustling market, with lanterns masking our identities and shrimp shells as our armor. This reflects my true nature." With a sudden commotion, the constables finally pushed through the crowd, and Yao Qiniang feigned to stumble, causing her basket to topple, and the live shrimp scattered in all directions, creating chaos. As the crowd diverted their attention in confusion, Li and Su Jiyue took the opportunity to slip into the back entrance of a lantern shop, with Cheng Jing quietly following behind. Inside, the flickering lantern lights cast dancing shadows, adorned with paper lotus flowers, carp, and lions. Spotting an open window at the back, Li whispered quickly, "Let us jump through here." Su Jiyue nodded silently, stashing the scroll in the bottom of a lantern before following Li out the window. The narrow alley outside was dimly lit, filled with the scent of dampness mingled with the fragrance of lanterns. Cheng Jing landed soundlessly, not even stirring dust from his clothing. "Li Xindi, next time you disguise yourself with shrimp shells, at least choose a larger one. Otherwise, the tale of a scholarly gentleman being caught by a shrimp will ruin my long-standing reputation." Su Jiyue couldn't help but chuckle, replying playfully, "Your bravado is our shield." Cheng Xiong. Yao Qiniang emerged, still clutching a few remaining shrimp. Fuming, "The constables trampled my shrimp. I lost 10 coins today, and you all better remember to settle the score later." Li patted his clothes, apologizing as he removed the tattered straw hat, managing a rueful smile. "Yao Qiniang, don't worry. I'll keep track of your losses, and when fortune smiles upon us, I'll repay you double." As the alley quieted, the constables searched the crowd in vain, ultimately leaving empty-handed. The four regrouped in the shadows, and Su Jiyue's expression turned serious. "Had it not been for your assistance today, I might have been taken away." Cheng Jing waved his hand dismissively in terms of quick thinking. "It was your little lady's ideas that saved the day. Hiding the scroll in a lantern was a stroke of genius." Yao Qiniang continued to grumble. "Just make sure to bring more business to my stall in the future. If the constables return, we'll just feed them shrimp." Li chocolat soufflé, feeling warmth swell in his heart. Amidst the trials of the market, these small figures had each played their part, as if they could conjure a splendid shrimp soup even if the sky were to fall. He placed a reassuring hand on Su Jiyue's shoulder, saying earnestly, "Not just today, but your troubles, Su Jiyue, are also ours. The capital is fraught with danger. We must unite our efforts." Su Jiyue similed genti, her, gaze unyaviding. The grievances of the Su family are contained within these scrolls. I will uncover the truth. Cheng Jing toyed with a lantern, winking, "Investigate the case by all means. But don't miss out on the Lantern Festival tonight. It's through such trials that we reveal our true colors." Yao Qiniang calculated her losses one last time. With the shrimp gone and the money lost, she sighed, well, at least friendship remains, and that is worth something. As the lanterns began to illuminate the street, townspeople passed by, carrying lanterns and laughter, their joyous voices weaving the softest hues into the night's tapestry. Lily gazed at the people around him, feeling invigorated. Though the storm clouds were gathering, the bonds of camaraderie remained unchanged. The market turmoil may have settled, but the true chaos of the streets was just beginning. He spoke softly, let us first attend a lantern festival and then plot our next steps. The group exchanged smiles, stepping into the glow of the lanterns. Moving further into the night. Chapter 3. The enigma of the noble lady. In an instant, the bustling southern market fell silent. The air thick with the mingled warmth of vegetables and fried pastries. Lily had yet to process the constable's loud inquiries when Su Jiyue seized his sleeve, urging him, hurry. Cheng Jing stepped forward, assuming the guise of a casual townsman, blocking the path between Lily and Su Jiyue as he exclaimed, gentlemen, what is all this ruckus? This young lady was merely slow in purchasing her pastries. Why resort to blades and guns? The constable's skeptical gaze swept between the three, raising his chin in a threatening manner. What are you pretending for? Are you harboring a criminal? Speak up. What is her background? As he spoke, his hand moved toward the hilt of his sword. Su Jiyue quickly averted her gaze, deftly slipping a copper coin to the vendor. Lily internally lamented that his stable scholarly life seemed to be at an end. Gentlemen, please calm down, he said, mimicking the smooth talk of scholars, forcing a smile. We do not know this lady. We merely saw her pick up a pastry. Oh, look how anxious she is. It's likely her elderly mother is waiting at home, hungry. As he spoke, he discreetly signaled to Cheng Jing to prepare for a hasty retreat. Cheng Jing grinned, tripping the constable behind him with a swift motion, causing both constables to tumble into a fish soup stall, their faces covered in grime. While the townspeople continued with their daily lives, not a single shout escaping their lips. Amidst the chaos, the three of them slipped deeper into the alleyways, leaving behind only a cloud of dust infused with the scent of pancakes. In a deserted corner of the alley, the moss grew between the cobblestones. Su Jiyue's hair had come loose, yet her expression remained composed. Slow in her breath, she turned to Li and Cheng Jing, a hint of apology in her eyes. I have caused you trouble. Cheng Jing grinned, shaking his fist. Do not say that. You underestimate our brotherly bond. Look at you, Li Xindi. Even in flight, you maintain an impressive presence, despite having missed breakfast. Li Dichakod, in frustration. I'm about to lose the silver in my waist from all this sweating, and I still haven't had a proper meal. If it were not for the presence of Miss Su Jiyue, there would be no lively gathering to partake in. Su Jiyue's expression softened slightly, her gaze becoming clearer. After a moment's contemplation, she retrieved a small pouch of provisions from her bundle, using it to satiate her hunger. Although her voice was soft, a stubborn resolve flickered in her brow. Cheng Jing, unperturbed, took 2 pieces, saying, Miss Su, we have both grown up in hardship. Let us share this morsel as brothers. Lily exchanged glances with Su Jiyue. Noticing her expression was a mix of weariness and determination. He took the opportunity to inquire, might I ask, Miss Su, why are you being pursued by officials? Although the Su family is of notable standing, they have always been benevolent to others. How could this be? Before he could finish his sentence, Su Jiyue tightened her fingers and lowered her voice, revealing a hidden truth. Months ago, my father incurred the ire of the powerful due to a case involving the censor. Last night, a sudden calamity struck our home. The steward was poisoned. My elder brother was arrested, and since then, our doors have been locked tight with our servants scattering. Someone has sought to frame me with treasonous accusations of collusion with foreign enemies. Had it not been for a maid's desperate assistance this morning, I would have been imprisoned. She paused, her eyes clouded with mist. If you two wish to distance yourselves from this mess, I can leave alone at this moment. Cheng Jing suddenly became serious, slapping down the half-piece of biscuit in his hand, exclaiming, Fear not, miss. I cannot abide by the unjust taking of innocent lives. Moreover, with my martial skills, it would be a waste not to engage in a grand adventure in the Jianghu. I must seize this opportunity in the capital. Lili, Ducha, smiled softly and cleared his throat to mask his unease. Though I may be without wealth, I pride myself on my sense of justice. Since I have inadvertently become embroiled in this misunderstanding, I shall willingly dive deeper into the waters, for it is fate that has brought us together. Su Jiyue's demeanor relaxed slightly, a glimmer of tears hidden in her eyes, yet her stubbornness prevailed as she nodded coolly. Suddenly, her expression hardened. I suspect there are those behind this case who are intentionally muddying the waters. Recently, there have been whispers in the court about the newly appointed Right Chancellor Han Luochen, whose ambitions are ruthless. Even many of my father's acquaintances are unsettled. Han Luochen, Lily murmured, pondering the name. I have only heard that he comes from humble beginnings, but is exceedingly decisive. Such behavior does not suggest a desire for peaceful repose. Cheng Jing, patting the dagger at his waist, replied with a glint in his eye, should we not first investigate this Lord Han's background? The quagmire of courtly power is not one to tread lightly. A cat darted past the corner, and, as dusk settled, the alleys of the capital shed the arrogance of the northern winds, leaving only a trace of coolness in the blue bricks. Lily adjusted his attire and spoke softly. Given the misfortune that has befallen Miss Su, our task is to gather clues. Since the incident at the Su estate, which individuals have shown suspicious movements? What rumors are worthy of scrutiny? Jiyue remained silent for a moment before responding quietly. The steward, old Lu, fled most hastily the night before the incident, and my elder brother's old friend is said to have dealings with the Han family. However, with the servants scattered, it is difficult to ascertain any leads. Cheng Jing interjected playfully. Could it be that old Lu has eloped? Perhaps he owed money to the gambling house and took advantage of the chaos to escape. Yet such matters always leave a large tail behind. We must investigate meticulously. Lily nodded, organizing his thoughts. If Han Luochen truly intends to use your father for his own ends, the repercussions will surely be significant. Cheng, do you have any acquaintances in the Jianghu who might be able to glean information from the marketplace? Cheng Jing rubbed his hands together. His spirits lifted. Leave it to me. We shall find an informant and enjoy a bowl of beef soup at the same time. I have heard the broth from Yao Qiniang is particularly delectable. The information may very well be hidden within that bowl. Su Jiyue mani da fantasmide. A hint of cunning sparkling in her eyes. To be adrift in a foreign land, yet still savor a bowl of authentic beef soup, is far more liberating than being confined within the depths of a noble household. As night enveloped them, the three hurried beneath the overlapping eaves, making their way toward the flickering lights of the marketplace. The market was alive with vibrant lanterns. At Yao Qiniang's stall, steam wafted from bowls of beef soup, where she skillfully tore meat while glaring at her customers. You three again? Lily, try to run up another tab, and I shall serve you boiling bones to mend your foolish brain. Cheng Jing chimed in with levity. Qiniang, we are here for a grand transaction today. We seek an exclusive piece of information that will ensure your coffers overflow. Yao Qiniang shot him a sidelong glance, a smile playing at her lips, but pointed towards the back of her stall. Talk is cheap, but silver must be shown up front. Otherwise, we can always use Li's precious head as payment. Li, with a rueful smile, rubbed his head, eliciting from Yao Qiniang the remark. You, a scholarly fellow, surprisingly hold some value. Speak. What do you wish to know about the Su family case? Su Jiyue tensed, quietly asking. Qiniang, do you know if anyone is searching for the Su family? Even my elder brother's friend has suddenly gone missing. Upon hearing this, Yao Qiniang's expression grew serious for a moment before she lowered her gaze. My uncle by marriage works as a minor official. On the day the case emerged, a new face appeared at the court clad in blue, with an exceptionally pale complexion and bright eyes, who entered the Han estate's carriage. Cheng Jing and Lily exchanged knowing glances, both deep in thought. A person from the Han estate? Lily whispered. Yao Qiniang continued, moreover. The Su family had a considerable sum of money on their books, but old Lu, having been bribed, secretly exchanged a substantial amount of silver notes. Recently, someone impersonating your elder brother withdrew these notes, and the money has since vanished. Su Jiyue bit her lip, her expression fierce. My father is known for his integrity. How could he owe debts or accept bribes? Someone must be framing him. Lily softly concurred. With Han Luochen in power, it would not be difficult to fabricate false evidence. If that is the case, your father may be facing even greater injustices. Yao Qiniang raised an eyebrow, a sly smile crossing her face. None of this is for naught. Lily, remember to settle your debts tomorrow. Cheng Jing laughed heartily, raising his bowl of soup with a sense of camaraderie. Suddenly, the sound of urgent gongs echoed from a distance. Yao Qiniang sharply lifted her head. The patrollers are coming. It seems they're planning a large-scale crackdown on the unruly. Under the warm light of the soup, hearts had grown cold. The three exchanged glances, each lost in their own thoughts. In the stillness of the capital, tumultuous currents roiled beneath the surface. Lily gazed at the shimmering oil on the soup's surface, contemplating that although the mystery remained unsolved, there was no turning back on the path ahead. As the night breeze swept through, the rickety marketplace clanged in protest. The three filled their bowls with steaming broth and stepped deeper into the illuminated depths. Chapter 4. The formation of alliances outside the dilapidated alley. The sky darkened. Sparrows pecking at the remnants of rice on the eaves under the fading sun. The three, accompanied by a little black dog, found themselves nestled behind an abandoned tofu stall, panting heavily amidst the remnants of the market's warmth. "Stay still," Su Jiyue hissed, her eyes still vigilant, a silver hairpin askew in her hair, betraying her recent flight. Cheng Jing, breathless yet amused, chuckled. Who would have thought that this wandering rogue of the Jianghu would one day find himself hiding in an alley alongside a scholar and a noble lady with a little black dog? The little black dog barked in agreement, seeming quite pleased by the mention. Lily pulled down the brim of his hat, patting the dust off his clothes, feigning calm. What is planned can hardly account for what heaven decrees. However, Cheng, with that swagger of yours hiding a blade beneath a smile, shouldn't you treat us to a warm bowl of noodles to ease our nerves? Deep within the alleys of the southern market, an enticing aroma suddenly wafted through the air. The group, drawn by the scent, turned their gaze in unison toward a filthy stall at the alley's entrance. Yao Qiniang stood behind a frying pan, her voice loud and proud. 5 for a Xiaobing, 2 for 10 meat buns. With a flourish, she stirred the pan, the scallions and dough dancing in the hot oil, releasing a fragrance that could bring tears to a beggar's eyes. Suddenly, spotting Li and the others, she paused, raising an eyebrow. "Oh, scholar brother, you haven't settled last month's debt yet, have you?" Lily flushed, unable to speak before Cheng Jing bounded over, thumping his chest. "Miss, have you forgotten who I am? Cheng Jing, renowned for my writing and rapid spending. Given the circumstances today, could you extend our credit for another 2 days?" Yao Qiniang rolled her eyes, wiping her hands on a cloth, her voice bright. "Extend credit? At this rate, my pot will wear thin from your debts. A down-and-out scholar and a wastrel living off my grace. You are quite the pair." Su Jiyue wished to remain inconspicuous, but her stomach grumbled audibly, causing her face to flush crimson. Yao Qiniang raised an eyebrow, her laughter ringing with joy as she placed several steaming baozi onto a wooden tray. "Here, my dear warriors. Do not hesitate to indulge." Lily gratefully accepted, murmuring his thanks. Cheng Jing swallowed 2 bites of the baozi and teased. "Qiniang, with a heart like yours. Are you trying to recruit us as your partners?" Yao Qiniang rolled her eyes and struck the chopping board with her spatula. "If you wish to fill your bellies, you must first adhere to the rules. Partners must be shrewd. The most despised are those who cling stubbornly. From today onward, you shall call me Qiniang, and you must heed my commands. Anyone who dares to delay payment shall have their teeth smashed and mixed into the soup." The atmosphere instantly lightened. Lily fainat ignoranza. Looking around. "So, are we officially teaming up to pass our days?" Su Jiyue couldn't help but smile. "Then should I call you Qiniang the shopkeeper? Stop flattering me." Yao Qiniang laughed, tossing the spatula aside. "To fill your bellies, it is only because I feel pity for you. Do not mistake Yao Qiniang for an easy target. Besides, without me, you would not even have a dog hole to hide in." Cheng Jing couldn't help but bow in respect. "Qiniang, I admire you." The group engaged in lively banter, finding a camaraderie in the bustling market atmosphere. Suddenly, hurried footsteps echoed from the alley's entrance. Someone shouted, "You lot up ahead. Have you seen a man and 2 women traveling together? The court is after those thieves." Li's heart raced, instinctively stepping in front of Su Jiyue. Yao Qiniang's eyes darted, and she pulled aside the curtain, shouting, "Who are those officials? What are you searching for? Today we are only selling tofu skins. Do not block my path to fortune." Her sharp words caught the officials off guard, and they hesitated, circling the stall with suspicion. Yao Qiniang, feeling triumphant, signaled to the others. Su Jiyue reacted swiftly, slipping behind the curtain. Cheng Jing moved quickly, lifting a basket to obscure their presence. Lily ducked behind the oil vat, while a small black dog squeezed into a pile of bundles. Seeing the officials still looking about, Yao Qiniang decided to use her trump card. waving a spoon smeared with chili oil before them. Would you care to try my secret braised noodles? Just 5 coins, and I'll give you a generous serving. The official grimaced at the pungent smell, scowled, and waved them off as he departed. Once their footsteps faded, everyone sighed in relief, turning to Yao Qiniang. Cheng Jing gave her a thumbs up. Qiniang, you are truly fearless. Su Jiyue raised her silver hairpin. Qiniang, your words are as enchanting as a poet's. Even Li Li sincerely praised. Qiniang, truly, if you were to enter officialdom, you would not settle for anything less than the 3rd rank. Yao Qiniang chuckled, lifting her chin, her voice brimming with confidence. You lot certainly know how to flatter. Since we are partners now, we shall share our meals and bear our hardships together. No one shall falter. And what of me? Su Jiyue suddenly asked. I am unfamiliar with the ways of the market and the heart of the rivers and lakes. How can I contribute? Yao Qiniang scrutinized her for a moment before breaking into a smile. You possess striking beauty. Come work as a waitress in my shop, and you will undoubtedly attract many returning customers. Su Jiyue forced a smile, refraining from arguing. Cheng Jing glanced around, speaking softly with the officials on high alert. It is unwise for a noble lady to reveal her identity. We must quickly find a way out before Han Luochen's hawk-like gaze falls upon us. Li Li pondered for a moment before suggesting, in the rivers and lakes, loyalty is paramount. In the marketplace, timing is crucial. If we seize the cover of night, we might find refuge for a night at the grocery store by the west gate of the northern city. Yao Qiniang nodded approvingly. For now, do not worry. As long as you stick with me, everyone in the southern market knows Yao Qiniang. Even if the sky were to fall, I could still manage a makeshift shelter. Laughter erupted among them. The north wind began to rise, and the lights at the end of the alley flickered, the warmth of the bustling market permeating the air. Under the cover of night, the 4 figures and a dog, their silhouettes, elongated by the smoke of the oil vat and the warmth of the cooking fire, appeared more reliable than ever. Though none spoke the words of mutual support, their fates were now entwined through a humble tofu stall. The tides of the marketplace had yet to settle, and thus began the prologue of their partnership. Chapter 5. A clever scheme in the southern city. The sky was a muted gray, the setting sun weary against the dilapidated eaves of the abandoned alley. Yao Qiniang, clad in an oil-stained apron, stood with her hands on her hips, vigilantly scanning her surroundings. Su Jiyue had long shed her noble demeanor, her hair disheveled, held up by a single silver hairpin. Cheng Jing clutched half a burnt pancake, his cheeks stuffed as he fixed his gaze on the distant alley entrance. The officials were relentless. Yao Qiniang clicked her tongue, noting that this situation was more challenging than when she used to steal Baozi as a child. Su Jiyue tightly grasped the small bundle Yao Qiniang had given her, containing her last remaining possessions and evidence of the Su family. Her gaze steady, she turned to Li Li. What should we do now, young Master Li? Li Li scratched his head, a light smile playing on his lips. With a raised eyebrow, a hint of mischief in his eyes, he said, Listen closely, everyone, I have a plan. Outside the abandoned alley, Han Luochen's trusted aide, Captain Zhang, led a squad of officials, turning the entire southern street upside down. The noise of people, coupled with the clatter of hooves from the deeper alleys, grew increasingly urgent, sending shivers down their spines. Li Li nodded towards the old well at their feet, beckoning the others to gather closer. Yao Qiniang's eyes widened in disbelief. Li Xiukai, do you still have time to admire the scenery at this moment? Cheng Jing brushed off the crumbs from his clothes and raised his eyebrows at Li Li. You're not suggesting we hide in the well, are you? I barely managed to get out last time, and my knees are still complaining. Not at all. Li Li replied earnestly, lowering his voice. Captain Zhang is determined not only to capture Miss Su, but also to search our entire alley. With their thorough search methods, we cannot escape by mere agility. We must feign madness and foolishness, exiting through the front door, allowing them to request our departure. Yao Qiniang raised her eyebrows skeptically. Surely you jest? Once Captain Zhang sees you lot, he will not merely ask. He'll want to bind you immediately. Suddenly, Li Li pulled out an old grain requisition document from his pocket, waving it with a smile. We will pretend to be merchants seeking laborers, while Cheng Jing will disguise himself as a mad peasant, and you, Miss Yao, shall play the role of a limping person. Su Jiyue and I will pose as a wealthy couple from afar, feigning a search for help, thus allowing us to slip out of the alley. As long as we play our parts convincingly, Captain Zhang will likely miss any inconsistencies. A wealthy couple? Su Jiyue, naturally composed, couldn't help but smile at Li Li's idea. You are quite generous to elevate me to the status of a wealthy lady. A breath of lively energy swept through the air, breaking the suffocating tension. Cheng Jing took a bite of the pancake, gesturing animatedly. Miss Su can easily play the lady, but am I not exhausting myself pretending to be a mad peasant? Yao Qiniang rolled up her sleeves, limping a couple of steps before unexpectedly kicking off one shoe. This role is second nature to me. I once tricked an entire line of copper coins in the Easter market. The sound of hooves grew nearer, and Captain Zhang's shouts became clearer. Quick! Search that dilapidated house ahead. Leave no rat behind. Lily waved his hand. Action! When we go out, remember to keep our story straight. Do not let any inconsistencies slip. Yao Qiniang directed Cheng Jing to rip a piece of cloth, fashioning a headscarf messily around his head. Indeed, how could a proper peasant bear ears that looked like fried chicken? Su Jiyue downplayed her nobility, smudging a bit of dirt on her cheek to appear more humble. Lily stood off to the side, his old long robe slightly open, barely resembling a country gentleman. 5 figures and a dog emerged. The small black dog dutifully burrowing into Su Jiyue's sleeve, trying its best to appear obedient. They filed out onto the crumbling bluestone path at the alley's entrance. Captain Zhang approached, scanning them with a sharp gaze. What brings you here? The southern city is under investigation. Do not cause trouble. Lily stepped forward, cupping his hands. I am Li, a merchant from Yizhou. I have come to the capital as my husband has been ill for a long time. I brought my family to Lushan Alley to seek a physician, but was misdirected. I just hired these 2 laborers to assist with my goods, and we were on our way back. Su Jiyue instinctively tightened her grip on the bundle, her face a mixture of shyness and fear. I am frail and truly a burden to my husband. Cheng Jing plopped down on the ground with a thud, his eyes glazed over, mumbling incoherently, the world is vast. But dumplings are the greatest. Burp. When night falls and dogs bark, human hearts are stronger than dogs, yet dogs are stronger than humans. Boo-hoo. As the sound of barking and humming resonated, Yao Qiniang seized the scruff of his neck and exclaimed fiercely, Master, look at this fool who cannot even distinguish a bowsy. He demands a mere 2 for a day's labor and still complains of hunger. You must be discerning in your hiring. The atmosphere was peculiar, causing even the several subordinates behind Captain Zhang to stifle their laughter. Captain Zhang raised his hand to silence them, and gestured for Li and Su Jiyue to approach. His gaze swept over the grain requisition contract, a slight smirk gracing his lips, yet he could find no flaw. Since you are hired labor, make haste to depart. There has been unrest in the southern city. Lingering is not permitted. Captain Zhang turned to whisper to his subordinate, all the while keeping a watchful eye on Li. Considering your innocent status, do not allow any oversight to be caught. Lili Estilibua, pulling Su Jiyue along as they proceeded. Yao Qiniang limped along, grumbling, the rules in the city are numerous. It makes even a simple task so difficult. Cheng Jing, being tugged along by Yao Qiniang, hopped awkwardly, seizing the moment when Captain Zhang's gaze shifted to make a face at Li. As the path widened and they reached the alley's exit, the group finally breathed a sigh of relief. Yao Qiniang removed her headscarf, exclaiming, Indeed, the scheme has proved effective. Scholarly, it seems those clever ideas in the books have some merit after all. Cheng Jing grimaced, clutching his leg. My knees are not as thick as the paper in the books. Look, they are numb. Su Jiyue retrieved a small black dog from her sleeve, gently stroking its head as she murmured, We owe our safe passage today to Master Li's unexpected brilliance. Lily shook his head, a mischievous smile crossing his face. This is merely a temporary ruse. Han Luochen's web will not cease here. We must act under the cover of night, with one person drawing attention while the others investigate Su's old acquaintances in the northern alley. There is no retreat. Upon hearing this, Yao Qiniang's eyes sparkled with intrigue. Scholarly, you still possess hidden talents. This battle truly has its strategies. As long as you do not shortchange me on my fare, I shall follow wherever you go. As dusk descended, the market's clamor grew closer. Su Jiyue took the initiative to arrange their belongings, calmly stating, In that case, I will accompany Yao Qiniang to the northern alley. Master Li, proceed with caution and do not overreach. Cheng Jing rolled up his sleeves and grinned widely. Well then, I shall act like a madman tonight. 1,000 gold smiles are worth their weight. Remember to bring wine as reward tomorrow. The group exchanged smiles, the brief tension melting into a rare warmth amidst the market's chaos. The setting sun cast its final hues, and the cobbled path ahead divided into three, mirroring the diverging fates of the four companions. Lili raised the contract in his hand, gazing at the receding figures ahead, silently resolving. In this world of chess, the market is the board, and heroes are the pieces. From this day forth, I, Lili, vow to summon the winds upon the thoroughfare. As night deepened, the lanterns in the southern city's alleys remained aglow. The wind whispered over the bluestone, carrying away the disordered yet resolute footsteps of the group, concealing the subtle new game unfolding within the marketplace. Chapter 6. Seeking the truth, the setting sun bathed the mottled stone slabs of the dilapidated alley in a gentle orange-red hue. Lili crouched beside the windowsill, idly twirling a willow branch in his hand. Yao Qiniang squatted beside him, gripping a half-block of tofu from her basket, grease smudging the corner of her mouth. Moments earlier, as she prepared to pour a ladle of marinade into the boiling pot, Cheng Jing had startled her from behind, nearly causing her to spill it onto Li's new robe. Su Jiyue sat on a low stool, draped in an old gray-blue shawl, her brow furrowed, clutching a silver hairpin that was now only half intact. The atmosphere among the four fluctuated, resembling a pot of soup boiling over a fire. Cheng Jing winced, rubbing his nose, having been struck squarely by Yao Qiniang's earlier actions. Lili did not look up, but chuckled softly. Ever since I met all of you, even meals feel like a caravan escort, with winds swirling both inside and out. Cheng Jing laughed heartily, pointing at the tofu. Qiniang, this tofu is far more delectable than Han Luochen's officials. Yao Qiniang tossed her ladle aside. Who cares for officials? Encountering them would bring bad luck for 8 lifetimes. Speaking of misfortune, Miss Su was pursued by officials in the southern market yesterday. What happened exactly? Su Jiyue's expression faltered, her gaze fixed on the silver hairpin in her hand. After a moment of silence, she spoke in a low yet resolute voice. On the night of the upheaval at home, my father was summoned to Huiran Hall, while my mother suddenly fell unconscious from poisoning. I hid in the woodshed and overheard whispers behind the residence about framing and silver notes. That night, a servant with an unusual gait, his shoes still muddy, handed me a black package. Cheng Jing straightened, narrowing his eyes. Silver notes? The officials claimed the Su family colluded with foreign enemies. Surely there must be tangible evidence. Su Jiyue nodded. In the study, 2 silver notes from Jianghu merchants were found, along with a strange letter. My father was arrested on the spot. Lili Durnat, his demeanor serious. We must uncover the source of those silver notes, determine who penned the letter, and ascertain how the residence was breached. If an outsider infiltrated, there must be traces left behind. Yao Qiniang scoffed, gathering her basket. The waters in the capital are murkier than my marinated tofu. We should at least investigate the gossipy woman in the market. Perhaps even her salted fish can catch the breeze. Upon hearing this, Cheng Jing's eyebrows shot up. The gossipy woman? You mean that old who sells pickles? Her salted fish could rival half a patrol. Lili clapped his knees and rose. Time is of the essence. First, we will go to the southern market, then investigate the study, and finally interview the servants who entered and exited the estate that night. The moon is still young, and Han Luochen's minions are still on the streets. We cannot afford a delay. Yao Qiniang discarded the tofu, her lips curling in defiance. Who fears whom? Am I afraid of a group in official garb? I once blew the magistrate's hat into the river. Su Jiyue smiled softly, her earlier worries dissipating somewhat. She stood, subtly adjusting the silver hairpin in her coiffure, as if regaining her courage. A breeze stirred at the alley's entrance, and the southern market remained lively and bustling as the 4 of them slipped into the throng. Cheng Jing pretended to be a vendor, shaking an empty basket in his hand as if peddling some curious wares. Yao Qiniang mingled near the pickle stall, exchanging a few words with the gossipy aunt who wrinkled her nose upon seeing her. Last time your little black dog bit my soybeans. Today you come to chase shadows? Yao Qiniang rolled her eyes. Your salted fish can hear the wind. Something strange occurred last night at the Su residence. What do you know? Aunt Hu, being shrewd, glanced around before whispering. That night at the hour of the rat, a group of black-clad individuals came to the back door of the Su residence. A servant was on watch, yet not even the dogs barked. Odd indeed. The black-clad individuals left with droplets of water on their hands. Lili stapat forward, murmuring, droplets. The rain had not fallen. Whence came the water? Aunt Hu pointed to the riverbank. The black-clad individuals came from the southern canal, their shoes muddy from the freshly turned stretch of river. Cheng Jing patted Li Li's shoulder. Brother, once your information leaks, Han Luochen will surely gasp in shock. Yao Qiniang dismissed him with a wave. Han, the power broker, is adept at using people as pawns. The Su family being framed is certainly his scheme. Su Jiyue's heart tightened, but how do we prove it? The origins of the silver notes and the whereabouts of the black-clad individuals are too nebulous. Li Li gazed steadily at the group, his expression resolute. The gossipy woman's lead is sufficient to guide us. Next, we will check the newly turned mud by the river, interview the estate servants, and investigate the authenticity of the silver notes. If we can find the shoes and package used that night, we can unravel the plot. The lively market buzzed around them, and suddenly Cheng Jing pointed to a copper shop. Speaking of which, I am hungry. Whoever investigates first gets a chicken leg. Yao Qiniang blinked. You only think of food when it comes to serious matters. Cheng, your belly will not let justice wait a moment. The group laughed as they walked, the market bustling with a mix of sages and fools, the winds carrying both anxiety and lively humor. Su Jiyue, amidst their banter, finally relaxed a bit. She softly remarked, having you all as companions is the greatest blessing in these chaotic times. Cheng Jing laughed heartily, clapping her shoulder. Even we little people can stir the winds. Who says bad luck must be accepted without a fight? Li Li leaned against Aunt Hu's pickle stall, gazing at the dimming sky. The winds rise in the market. The truth always lies within the hustle and jest. Under the last remnants of twilight, the four small figures stepped into the bustling marketplace. Their steps resolute yet tinged with mischief. None knew where the answers lay. Perhaps behind the pickles and salted fish, or perhaps within the droplets and mud. The moonlight wove through the night as they trod upon the fragmented dreams of the marketplace, trampling down the repeated plots and enigmas beneath their feet. Amidst the clamor, the hot soup bubbled. Li Li tightened his clothing, gazing southward toward the former site of the Su residence, the very origin of the enigma. The whispers and clamor of a new day had long been awaiting at the alley's entrance, ready to weave wisdom and laughter into the search for the Su family, restoring the marketplace's innocence. Chapter 7. The Struggle in the Market. The light rain had just ceased, leaving a hint of chill upon the stone slabs at the alley's mouth. Li Li spread the worn paper note across his knees, his gaze lingering over the characters inscribed. Su Jiyue leaned against the doorframe, her grayish-blue shawl having been snatched away by a small black dog. Yao Qiniang, with a hint of irritation, kicked at a stool, yet ultimately did not manage to shoo the dog away. Cheng Jing, chewing on a piece of tofu, mumbled with a grin, who sent this note anyway? And what on earth is Bai Lu? Su Jiyue pressed her lips together, remaining silent as her fingers absent-mindedly toyed with her ornament, clearly burdened with thoughts. Li Li shifted his posture, lowering his voice. Bai Lu is the largest gambling house in the west of the city, renowned for its intelligence network. Yet the Su family has had no dealings with that area before. There must be some hidden agenda. Yao Qiniang scoffed, glancing up at the rain-washed sky. There are hidden agendas aplenty, enough to brew a pot of soup. By the way, my fried dough twists were trampled to bits by the officials yesterday. Who will compensate me? Cheng Jing clapped his thigh, delighting in her misfortune. When have your fried dough twists ever been intact? If you had the guts to serve them to Han Luochen as a side dish, I'm sure he'd be snorting all over the place. Finally, Su Jiyue laughed, the tension in her brow easing slightly, the oppressive atmosphere lifting a little. Li Li tucked the note away, rising while adjusting his sleeves. Since there are those who guide us, Bai Lu is a place we must visit. But let us remain cautious in this territory. Yao Qiniang glared. With just us, why should we fear a gambling house? The worst that can happen is losing a few coins. Cheng Jing flicked his sleeves, placing his hand on the wooden sword at his waist, embodying a carefree rogue. Qiniang, your courage rivals the heavens. Even Han Luochen would have to steer clear of you. Just then, a faint sound of footsteps echoed from outside the courtyard. Li Li isha ayas shifta. Quickly lowering his voice, someone is following us. Su Jiyue suppressed her laughter, gracefully approaching the door. Yao Qiniang mumbled as she stuffed the tofu back into its bag, waving at the clumsy black dog, uncertain of who was amusing whom. Cheng Jing wiped the playful grin off his face, focusing intently on the sounds beyond the door. As the door swung open, a youth clad in a green robe hurriedly slipped inside, clutching a jar of pickled cucumbers, his expression flustered. Su Jiyue frowned. Who are you? The young man gasped, his voice trembling. I'm an attendant from Bai Lu. Someone asked me to deliver a message. urging the four of you to come to the private room before the stroke of midnight. There's important information. Yao Qiniang graciously accepted the cucumbers, sniffing them with a grimace. This taste pales in comparison to my own pickles. Yet she didn't forget to pat the young man's shoulder, adding, next time, bring a message without the cucumbers. My fried dough twist could fetch a higher price. Cheng Jing stifled a laugh while Lily scrutinized the young man's anxious demeanor. You seem quite alarmed. Is someone in the establishment watching us? The young man lowered his voice. In the back courtyard, there's a man in black. He has gone to report to others. Be cautious. There are officials keeping an eye on you. Su Jiyue, Bo said, her eyes flashing with realization as she swiftly tucked the note back in her sleeve, signaling to the others. Cheng Jing understood, stepping forward. All right. Thank you for your trouble. You may go. Once the young man departed, the four reconvened. Yao Qiniang whispered, the gambling house is a den of vipers. Stepping inside may lead us to cross paths with Han Luochen's people. Lily pondered while fiddling with the note, a smirk creeping onto his face. Han Luochen wouldn't dare show his face, would he? He must be wary of his own standing. Yet Su Jiyue shook her head, not necessarily. When he framed the Su family, he showed no regard for caution. The atmosphere shifted slightly, the brief calm in the courtyard resembling a whisper before a storm. As evening fell, the four donned simple civilian attire, mingling outside by Yulu lanterns hung high at the entrance. The flickering candlelight casting shadows of figures swaying through the arched gateways. Yao Qiniang, embodying the spirit of the marketplace, squeezed into the crowd, shouting, extra-large fried dough twists, perfect for steadying the gambler's hands. This drew laughter from the onlookers, instantly enlivening the atmosphere. Cheng Jing casually tossed a few copper coins to the doorman. Blending into the hall, Lily kept a watchful eye, scanning the crowd, and caught sight of a familiar official in a corner. Agent Su Jiyue. The man to the east is the officer pursuing us. Su Jiyue smiled slyly. So Han Luochen's spies are already in place. Yet he dares to display his cards. Inside the private room, the ambience was dim, golden light reflecting off the carved lattice windows. Su Jiyue and Lily sat side by side, while Cheng Jing leaned against the door, and Yao Qiniang assumed the role of a sentinel, arms crossed, not so much guarding her master as protecting her own fried dough twists. Before long, footsteps approached, and the door swung open to reveal a middle-aged man in official attire. His expression stern. He surveyed the group and stated flatly, Lord Han has a message. Please heed his instructions. Lily clasped his fists. May I inquire what Lord Han wishes? How can mere common folk disturb such a noble gentleman? The middle-aged man scoffed. Do not play the fool. The case of the Su family has concluded, yet you persist in investigating in the shadows, attempting to stir up trouble. Lord Han warns you not to bring harm upon yourselves. Yao Qiniang stepped forward, her smile radiant. Stirring up trouble is our specialty. What? Does the official wish to purchase some fried dough twists? Cheng Jing's lips curled in a taunting grin. No wonder the winds are howling in the city. It is all stirred up by officials like you. The middle-aged man's demeanor grew colder. You are insolent. You before he could finish his sentence. Sounds of struggle erupted outside. A group of men in black barged in, shouting, We are here to capture the remnants of the Su family. Lili and Su Jiyue ignored. Cheng Jing kicked over a chair, pulling down a curtain to obscure their escape, while Yao Qiniang hurled her fried dough twists, striking one of the black-clad men on the head, creating chaos in the room. Catch that woman! Someone yelled. Su Jiyue quickly dodged, seizing the jar of pickled cucumbers from the table and skillfully tossing it, hitting the black-clad man's wrist. Seizing the moment, Lili grabbed Cheng Jing and Qiniang, maneuvering through the fray, bursting out through a side door. Outside, the night was deepening. Gamblers scattered in all directions at the sight. Cheng Jing led the way, with Su Jiyue closely behind, while Yao Qiniang clutched her bag of fried dough twists. Vowing not to abandon her stock, Lili glanced back while running, observing the official leading the black-clad men stumble at the doorway, tripped by the crowd, landing in a heap of dust and chaos. The streets were dimly lit, and the group slipped into the backyard of a half-finished building, panting heavily. Cheng Jing clapped his clothing. With Han Luochen making such a fuss, it seems less about catching criminals and more like a show of force. Yao Qiniang, catching her breath, retorted, These fried dough twists are worth more than life itself. Almost threw them away. Su Jiyue smiled faintly. turning to Lili. What do you think? Lili straightened his attire, his gaze clear. Han Luochen is aware of our investigation into the Su family case. If intimidation fails, he will likely resort to more cunning tactics. Tonight's events are merely an appetizer. Cheng Jing laughed heartily, clapping both of them on the shoulders. The more chaotic, the more interesting. We, as insignificant figures, can stir up quite the tempest in this turbulent era. The moonlight flowed like water. Remnants of their frantic escape lingered in the courtyard, imbued with an indescribable fervor. The four exchanged glances, smiles blossoming on their faces, reminiscent of the gentle light at the alley's entrance after the rain. As the night deepened and the wind rose, the currents of chaos in the capital seemed to brew slowly around them, each laugh and every escape weaving their fates ever closer. Chapter 8. The Fail Breakout. The thin clouds above the alley had just begun to coalesce, and the damp stones still radiated a chill. Su Jiyue's hand rested upon the ornament at her waist, her fingers instinctively caressing the jade piece, a hint of tension and vigilance flickering in her eyes. After a moment of stillness, she slightly turned, whispering, "It's blocked ahead." Lili crouched behind a low wall, following the direction indicated by Su Jiyue's finger, and spotted two officials clad in dark blue robes, their hands crossed, swords at their waists, standing menacingly at the end of the alley. From the other side, distant barks of dogs echoed, and hurried footsteps approached, indicating that pursuers were closing in from behind. Cheng Jing raised an eyebrow, his playful demeanor subdued as he whispered, "Mr. Li, you boasted yesterday that fire cannot be contained. What shall we do now that we've wrapped ourselves in flames?" Yao Qiniang was draped in Cheng Jing's tattered cloak, her nose wrinkling slightly as she rolled her eyes in exasperation. "You bunch of inept gentlemen. All you know how to do is offer sarcastic remarks. Had I known it would come to this, I would have lingered longer at my stall in the marketplace, rather than foolishly running around with you." The little black dog barked inappropriately, seemingly sharing her indignation. Lili raised his hand to signal everyone to be quiet, his gaze sweeping around, the trademark faint smile still gracing his lips. Like a chef who discovers a bit of flour amidst disaster, he never easily succumbed to despair. "Miss Su, the back wall of this alley connects to the courtyard of Luji Pharmacy. Unfortunately, the iron thorns climbing that wall are harder than Han Luochen's heart. If we wish to scale it, we must employ some cleverness. Otherwise, we shall surely come to harm." He glanced at Cheng Jing, inquiring, "Mr. Cheng, do you think you could lead us all over the wall, safely?" Cheng Jing shifted his shoulders, tightening the long cloth belt around his waist, and feigned nonchalance as he smiled. "If we truly make it over, Mr. Li, you must treat me to 2 extra chicken legs. But let's agree, no one should trip me this time." Yao Qiniang raised a withered branch to interject, but at that moment, 2 constables approached slowly from the alley's entrance, their malicious smirks and unsheathed swords glinting ominously in the damp air. "Run, Sui dispered urgently." The 5 of them, including the dog, dashed towards the wall like arrows. Indeed, the back wall of the pharmacy was high and smooth, adorned with an intricate array of iron thorns, and time was of the essence. Cheng Jing, possessing the best agility, leapt up, deftly stepping on the brick seems to reach the top of the wall. He lowered his voice and urged, "Qiniang, you go first." Yao Qiniang was swift in her actions. With Cheng Jing's pull, she gritted her teeth and leapt up, almost getting snagged by the iron thorns, causing her to cry out in fright. Lili was below, supporting Su Jiyue. "You go first," Su Jiyue insisted. But Lili shook his head. "A scholar has his own methods. Ladies first. Hurry, we must not let anyone look down on us." At this moment, the constables were nearing, their swords clanging ominously against the stone slabs. The little black dog barked fiercely, as if attempting to ward off the constables with its cries. Seizing the opportunity, Cheng Jing grabbed Yao Qiniang with his left arm, while his right hand reached down to pull Su Jiyue up. Lili, abingdalaya, felt the constables closing in, their blades nearly grazing his sleeve. "Li, oui." Su Jiyue leaned down to help him, but Lili swiftly dodged, pulling out a small handful of lime from his pocket, and threw it into the faces of the constables. The lime filled the air, and the constables screamed in pain, flailing their swords wildly. Amidst the chaos, Lili climbed the wall, using a tattered mat to cushion the thorns, and was finally pulled up by Su Jiyue. They tumbled into the pharmacy's courtyard, landing in disarray. Yao Qiniang's garment was already torn, and she was getting up, cursing under her breath. Suddenly, a series of crashes echoed from the back wall as the constables pursued them relentlessly. Quick! There's a pile of firewood by the main door of the pharmacy. If we get over that, there's a back alley. Su Jiyue recalled the layout of the pharmacy and hurriedly led the way. Cheng Jing picked up the little black dog, while Lily turned back to block the small door with a wooden plank. The four of them, in a haphazard tumble, clambered out of the courtyard. The back alley was damp and filled with clutter on either side. In her haste, Yao Qiniang knocked over a stack of tiles, the noise making Lily's heart race. "Don't mind that, hurry," Cheng Jing urged. They scrambled deeper into the alley, but before they could catch their breath, two burly men in gray emerged, blocking their path. "Gentlemen, Master Han requests your presence." "It would be wise not to misstep," one of the thugs warned gruffly. Su Jiyue raised her eyebrows slightly, having quickly surveyed their surroundings. Lily stepped forward, addressing the men with calm authority. "Might I trouble you to allow us passage? We merely wish to procure some medicine. We would never dream of disturbing Master Han's dreams." The thug sneered. "Stop pretending. You caused a ruckus at Baiulu yesterday. Master Han wants you. We want Teeny to lift a finger." Cheng Jing quietly shifted, his footfalls light, while the little black dog anxiously surveyed the area. Yao Qiniang gripped the muddy branch tightly, standing alert against the pharmacy's courtyard wall. An idea struck Li, and he exchanged a knowing glance with Su Jiyue. He suddenly declared, "In truth, we are here to pledge our allegiance to Master Han. We possess something he desires greatly." The thug paused, his smirk deepening. "Don't try to fool me." Just then, Su Jiyue revealed a shard of jade inscribed with the Su family emblem from her sleeve, her expression resolute. "If you doubt us, ask your master. If we are false, take my head." The thug hesitated, taking a half-step back, just as cries and shouts erupted from the back of the pharmacy, growing ever closer. "We cannot delay any longer." Seizing the moment when the men were distracted, Lily swiftly grabbed a jar of aged, pickled vegetables from the roadside and hurled it at the feet of the two thugs as they rounded the corner. The brine splattered everywhere, the pungent odor of pickled garlic assaulting their noses. The two men were caught off guard, slipping on the tiles and tumbling to the ground. "Run!" Yao Qiniang shouted, leading the way into a nearby shed. Cheng Jing carried the little black dog, and Lily followed closely behind as they dashed through alleyways, stumbling and colliding with one another. At last, they collapsed onto a patch of grass outside the shed, the area overgrown with weeds, the distant clamor fading away. Yao Qiniang hugged her knees, panting heavily and covered in dirt. "Good heavens, today feels like dining at a tavern and drinking a barrel of sour wine. I haven't earned a single coin, and I'm buried in debt." Su Jiyue breathed heavily, but the worry in her brow had eased somewhat. "Today, we owe our escape to Mr. Li and Mr. Cheng. Otherwise, we would have surely perished in this alley." Cheng Jing waved dismissively, a sly grin on his face. "If it were solely dependent on my martial skills, we would have been reduced to just 1.5 people. Thanks to you, Mr. Li. Your lime and pickles were more effective than my sword." Li chuckled at himself, brushing the dust from his forehead. "Sometimes being weaker isn't so bad. There are no true heroes in this world, just those who are afraid of death and seek ways to survive." Su Jiyue looked at him, understanding dawning in her eyes. The world was unpredictable, their refuge still uncertain, but as the weariness and thrill of danger began to fade, their laughter echoed through the night alley. They had temporarily evaded capture, yet they understood that the world of martial arts and power struggles offered no simple escape. As the night deepened, the four of them exchanged smiles, none of them realizing that after this harrowing escape, they would soon face even deeper mysteries and perilous paths ahead. Chapter 9. The formation of allies. The remnants of last night's rain on the bluestone pavement had yet to dissipate, and the morning breeze swirled through the alley, creating a disarray. Yao Qiniang still clutched Cheng Jing's tattered cloak, her foot resting on a little black dog that was trying to burrow into a pile of firewood, its tail wagging vigorously. Li half concealed behind a low wall, his gaze vigilant, while his ears keenly picked up the rustling sounds behind him. Cheng Jing cleared his throat and, having just adjusted his short blade at his waist, lowered his voice to interject, "Brother Li, if we linger here any longer, our legs might grow moss. If I had known, we should have taken the detour through Nanjia Alley last night, instead of being caught right in front of those constables." Yao Qiniang shot him an irritated glare. "Oh, great hero! Yesterday, you were the first to run. If it weren't for my quick feet, that bun would have long been offered to the wild cats of the east side of the city. Su Jiyue adjusted her silver hairpin gently, her gaze shifting from the tiles on the wall back to the group, her voice steady. The constables changed their patrol routes every 15 minutes. It isn't anyone as fault for miscalculating. Han Luochen's tactics are indeed more ruthless than we anticipated. As her words fell, hurried footsteps suddenly echoed from the alley's end. Lili instinctively held his breath, and the group lowered their heads. Quickly stashing the few silver notes they had procured from the market into Yao Qiniang's bamboo box. Cheng Jing, however, suddenly broke into a brilliant smile, pressing down on Li's shoulder. "Hold on, brothers, news has arrived." The newcomer was nimble, clad in an old cotton coat, his footsteps as light as a bird that had just been beaten. Cheng Jing recognized him as a Fu, one of his brothers in the Jianghu, known for his talent in gathering information. A Fu was out of breath, not bothering to wipe the mud from his face as he leaned in close to Cheng Jing. "Brother Jing, it's serious. The gamblers at the west side of the city are spreading rumors that Master Han will thoroughly investigate the Su family's old case in 3 days. They also said that anyone who dares to protect Miss Su will be at odds with Han Luochen." Yao Qiniang grimaced at the news. Those bastards from the west side have mouths sharper than knives and faces blacker than the bottom of a pot. Meanwhile, Su Jiyue bowed her head in silence, her fingers unconsciously toying with her silver hairpin. Lili turned sideways to look at her, as if he could hear the whispers of the young girl's heart. The silence lingered for just a few fleeting seconds before Cheng Jing clapped his hands, shattering the somber atmosphere. "Now that the momentum has picked up, we can't afford to rest. Brotherly, do you have any books that could provide a way to ensnare Lord Han?" A subtle smirk played on Li's lips, his eyes glinting with a hint of mischief, akin to the hidden light beneath the glazed tiles at night. Han Luochen's habitual methods revolve around intimidation, bribery, and the manipulation of public opinion. If we wish to turn the tide against him, we cannot rely solely on our small group. We must enlist the ears of the gambling den, the small-time leaders in the market, and that loose Xiaoji from the southern part of the city. Su Jiyue lifted her gaze, her eyes reflecting a stubborn spark that had yet to be extinguished. "Li, I could see clues at the gambling den. I am acquainted with Master Zhao, the accountant there. He has received favors from the Su family and might be able to assist us." Cheng Jing chuckled heartily, interjecting, "I'll visit the fiery lad in the eastern part of the city tomorrow. That fellow specializes in pulling the ears of officials, is sweet-tongued and quick-handed, and has a penchant for drink. As long as I bring along a couple of jars of fine liquor, I'm sure he spills some news." Yao Qiniang, unwilling to be outdone, chimed in with a hint of reproach. "I'll handle the finances at the market. I know which stalls sell the best breakfast and which alleys are the most astute. Just ask me. I guarantee Han Luochen will appear grand in public while stumbling in the shadows." The group engaged in lively banter, exchanging ideas and animatedly banging on tables, even the little black dog wagging its tail in agreement. The alley seemed to brim with a newfound vitality, the looming crisis somewhat softened by their jesting and calculated schemes. Seeing the rising enthusiasm among his companions, Lili steadied himself and spoke earnestly. "We have now been swept into this vortex. There's no turning back. Tonight at the gambling den, tomorrow in the eastern part of the city, and the day after at the market. We need to have people keeping watch everywhere. And we must establish a set of signals and agreements to prevent being pinned down by Han Luochen's men." Yao Qiniang's eyes twinkled with mischief as she suggested, "Why not make the signal straightforward? When we meet, we simply knock 3 times on our knees. Anyone who dares to greet an official is merely playing dead." Cheng Jing tossed his cloak toward Yao Qiniang with a laugh. "That is quite a clever trick. If Han Luochen really has his sights on us, knocking on our knees won't suffice." Laughter erupted among them. Even Su Jiyue's furrowed brow relaxed, her lips curving into a smile reminiscent of childhood innocence. As dawn approached, the dried fish shop at the alley's entrance opened its doors, and the aroma of mixed grains wafted through the air. Lili sighed softly, lowering his voice. The old case of the Su family, the gambling den's influence, and Han Luochen's relentless pursuit are all formidable challenges. However, I must say, we need not fear difficult circumstances, for we have each other as support. In these chaotic times, not every small fry can be easily crushed. Cheng Jing seemed invigorated by these words, punching his palm with determination. "Let us forge our alliance today, brothers united. Their strength is unbreakable. Brotherly, Miss Su Jiyue, from this day forth, we are not merely companions, but allies. Yao Qiniang scoffed slightly, adding, allies are fine, but I must make it clear. If anyone loses, do not try to evade your debts. I'll be keeping track of all the silver notes. You busy folks better not eat all the food and leave me with nothing. Lily nodded with a smile, while Su Jiyue's gaze remained resolute. Fixed on the horizon, Cheng Jing patted Li on the shoulder, and they exchanged a knowing glance. Even a black dog rolled over at their feet, as if it understood the gravity of the moment, brimming with a spirit of shared purpose. The wind swept into the alley, carrying their laughter and vows gently into the bustling heart of the capital. Lily raised his eyes toward the sky, where a ray of morning light fell upon the dilapidated eaves and upon each of their garments. Their alliance had just begun. From this day forth, regardless of how the tides of power surged and swirled, this group of small figures in the back alley had anchored themselves firmly in the midst of chaos. They each shouldered their meager belongings and set off towards the gambling den, the market, and the world beyond, their feet treading upon the damp, polished stone, akin to a path leading toward hope. Not far away, at the street corner, Han Luochen's aides quietly cast their gaze in this direction, as the storm was only just beginning to gather. Chapter 10. Diverging paths, the morning mist enveloped every inch of the cobblestones in the dilapidated alley, and the cool breeze made the tiles shiver. Cheng Jing squinted his eyes, his short blade not yet securely fastened when Yao Qiniang called out, hold off on the swordplay. The officials dispersed last night. We would want to scare our own people. Cheng Jing chuckled awkwardly, concealing the blade in his garments. Still unwilling to yield. What do you know? That servant Han Luochen sent likely hasn't strayed far. They might be planning to raid the back alley today. Lili, we need to devise another plan. Lily was busy inspecting a grease-stained note in his hand and did not respond to Cheng Jing. Su Jiyue sat by the window, gently stroking her silver hairpin, her gaze cold as it swept across the courtyard gate. I counted the footprints from last night, besides our 4 pairs. There was also a smaller set of boot prints. Someone must have followed us in. Yao Qiniang scoffed, but her expression was tenser than anyone else's as she muttered, I haven't retrieved the goods from the black market in the south yet, and I'm already entangled with you calamities. Whoever gets into trouble should pay. An unshakable sense of crisis lingered in the air. Lily raised the note high. This fell from the beam last night. It mentions the Su family's case, the disappearance of witnesses, and that it is untraceable. Signed with a character. It seems someone is deliberately obstructing our investigation. Cheng Jing couldn't help but jump up. Isn't it said to be related to the Baiwa Tower in the west? Is Han Luochen planning to cut off our access to information? Su Jiyue's voice remained calm. With the witnesses vanished, the investigative trail is severed. How can we save my father now? Yao Qiniang clutched her bundle, her eyes reddening as if she had been holding back for a long time. Money can move mountains. But why is this capital so impoverished that all I have is a bag of tofu? Lili, ikit. Lily looked at Su Jiyue and Cheng Jing, but his gaze fell on Yao Qiniang's face, his tone softening. Qiniang, if you wish to leave, then go. But if we part ways now, it will only please Han Luochen more. The courtyard fell silent. Su Jiyue lowered her eyes, her silver hairpin reflecting a cold light in the fractured morning glow. If someone is truly watching us, it may be difficult to reconvene tonight. Cheng Jing suddenly slammed the table with a bold gesture. Didn't we agree to weather the storm together? Who says we must go our separate ways today? Yao Qiniang huffed. The storm is yours. I still have my stall and my finances, while you indulge in the world of martial arts. I just want to earn a meal. Lily chuckled softly, though concern lingered in his eyes. He walked over and offered Yao Qiniang a freshly steamed bun. Whether you go to the market or stay here, you must remain safe. With Han Luochen closing in maliciously, the 3 of us will continue investigating the Su family's matters. Qianyang, if you come across any news, please send a message. Yao Qiniang, feeling stifled, took the bun and stood up, scoffing. How much is a message worth? Once I earn enough silver, I'll deal with you restless lot. She then glared at Cheng Jing. You ran off pretty quickly at the gambling den yesterday, just showing off your heroics. Cheng Jing boldly secured his blade at his waist, retorting, once you've earned your money, we'll feast on roast chicken together. Just don't fall behind. Su Jiyue stood up and adjusted her clothes. In that case, let us each act independently. Let us meet tonight under the willow tree at the western entrance of the dilapidated alley at the hour of you. Lili Nudda. His gaze clear, wishing for everyone's safe return regardless of leads. The courtyard door creaked open, and Yao Qiniang, burdened with her bundle, hurried away as if to shake off her worries. Cheng Jing and Lili exchanged glances but remained silent, only hearing Su Jiyue's soft voice at the end. Brotherly. Remember to bring ginger soup tonight. My hands and feet have yet to recover from the swelling. Lili acknowledged with a sound, a reluctant smile forming on his lips, as the skies over the capital seemed to threaten rain once more. At the moment of parting, they all pretended to be nonchalant, not uttering a word. The courtyard felt instantly desolate, with only 2 sparrows chirping beneath the eaves, as if they too were discussing the morning's separation. Cheng Jing, impatient, kicked a pebble. Talk is talk, but let us not truly scatter. The capital is so vast. Without anyone to drink with, life gets dull. Su Jiyue's lips curved into a graceful arc. Don't you still have your worn-out blade? I heard there's a sword-fighting competition in the northern market tonight. Why not go and place a bet? Cheng Jing blinked, chuckling as he exclaimed, Indeed. While you investigate, I shall engage in a duel. And winning a bit of coin for drinks will surely bolster our spirits. Lili shook his head, suddenly lowering his voice. Miss Su, please pay close attention to the willow tree at the west end tonight. If there are any lurking foes, do not act rashly. Su Jiyue nodded. A soft glow in her eyes, I understand. As long as we do not concede defeat, there remains hope. The 3 dispersed at the alley's entrance. The capital scene gradually grew vibrant. The sounds of the marketplace and the shouts of vegetable vendors mingled. Yet the dilapidated alley felt as if it had been stripped of half its soul. Yao Qiniang stumbled forward after being tripped by a child selling candied hawthorn, angrily questioning, Does your family have an abundance of silver? Stop fixating on my stall. The child widened his eyes, mumbling, Annie, why are you always so unhappy? Yao Qiniang's lips twitched, holding back a scolding, and furiously stormed into the market. The crowd quickly engulfed her, leaving only a tattered bundle swaying behind her. Dust swirled on the street as Su Jiyue transformed into a vegetable seller, blending into the throng. Lili closely followed the entrance of the pharmacy in the west, observing passers-by while pondering the easy note he had dropped last night, his brow furrowed in concentration. Cheng Jing swaggered into the bustling North Market, proclaiming he was seeking a swordsman for a duel, and casually helped several stall owners clear stones from their entrances, drawing laughter from the vendors. As even the chill of the day seemed to warm slightly. As the wind stirred, the heroes of the marketplace went about their business, while unseen crises quietly brewed. Before the hour of you, the morning dew beneath the willow at the west end of the dilapidated alley had yet to dry. Lili squatted by the roots of the tree with a pot of ginger soup, gazing at the darkening clouds on the horizon as nightfall approached. Cheng Jing, slightly tipsy, patted Lili's shoulder. Tonight, we must get through this hurdle. Su Jiyue, with a serene expression, held tightly to a copper coin left to her by Yao Qiniang, its weight palpable in her palm. None of the 3 questioned where Yao Qiniang had gone. They simply gazed toward the alley entrance in the light, as if awaiting a familiar laughter. As the wind rustled through the willow branches, the night draped down, shadows gradually returning to their places. Each took their own path, yet the thread binding their hearts remained unbroken. Chapter 11. The fragments of a dream awakening the morning mist had yet to dissipate, and the brick wall at the end of the alley bore the weight of yesterday's quarrel. Lili clutched the oil-stained note, his fingertips tingling with cold. He lowered his head, traversing the narrow street, the wind slicing past him like a cold blade, stirring up the misunderstandings and separations of the night before. His footsteps were light, yet the echoes rang clear on the empty cobblestones. Upon entering the dilapidated academy in the south of the city, Lili instinctively raised his chin, as if to shake off the frustrations of yesterday. The gate was ajar, revealing a section of an old elm tree root embedded in the earth, with a series of shoe prints left from the previous night. Just as Lili intended to sidle in, a cough echoed from the shadows, aged yet clear. That note is not something one can just pick up anywhere. The old scholar leaned against the threshold, his hair as white as snow. Yet his eyes held an unusual sharpness. Lili suppressed his expression, clasping his hands in gratitude. The scholar's fingers languidly pointed at the air, as if assessing Lili's worth. Do you wish to know who meddled in the Su family case? The old scholar's voice was low, like the wind whispering through decayed pages. Go to the back hall of the academy, beneath table 23, where you will find the clues you seek. Lili's fart julta. The desks in the courtyard were haphazardly arranged, and the hidden compartments beneath the tables were filled with countless remnants of the past. He swiftly entered the hall, his pace brushing past rows of ink-stained desks. Table 23, positioned by the window, bore the remnants of a morning student's handwriting. His hand grazed the underside of the table, fingers finding a slight indentation. The compartment indeed opened readily, revealing a small, exquisite brocade box. Inside the box lay a slightly worn jade pendant and a crudely penned note. The note detailed a series of accounts, unmistakably linked to the ledger of Bayou Lu in the northern part of the city. The last line's signature was blurred, yet the name Han Luo was vaguely discernible, carving itself into Li Li's heart like a blade. He grasped the jade pendant, a flicker of understanding dawning in his eyes. Outside, the shouts of officials rang out, and after a moment's contemplation, Li Li quickly concealed the brocade box within his garments and slipped out through the side door. Though his heart was in turmoil, he maintained his composure, unable to shake thoughts of Jiyue and Cheng Jing from the previous day. The truth of this world is often hidden in the most unremarkable corners, only surfacing after much turmoil. Meanwhile, Su Jiyue concealed herself within a silk shop in the southern alley, her gaze cold and clear. She covered her face with a handkerchief, her eyes constantly scanning her surroundings. The shopkeeper, an old acquaintance, lowered his voice urgently upon seeing her return. "Miss, the situation outside is growing tense. Those accompanying you may find it hard to escape unscathed." Su Jiyue nodded, her fingers gripping her silver hairpin, her gaze shifting to the bustling marketplace outside. She swiftly penned a note at the counter, sending it to an old friend at the Sifang Inn, seeking assistance. Hidden in the wardrobe lay the key to the Su family's old residence, her last trump card. She bit her lip, self-deprecatingly muttering, "In these chaotic times, a mere lock is the most valuable asset." From a second-floor window came a cacophony, and Su Jiyue leaned out to see Cheng Jing drinking with several traveling merchants. Joking in a carefree manner, "Brothers, should any official inquire about this person, be sure not to recognize me. Cheng, your method of self-preservation is quite clever." One of them jested. Cheng Jing, swaying slightly, with one foot dangling from the windowsill, replied, "Perhaps one day we can treat the brothers to drinks again. We might establish a fallback in the south of the city." A few jokes could not conceal the flicker of anxiety beneath his eyes. After a few rounds, Cheng Jing discreetly passed a note, a name written by Li Li during yesterday's peril. "Brothers, please deliver this message to the back courtyard of the academy. I need to see the old scholar," he instructed quietly, his gaze steady, a rare seriousness in his demeanor. Each had their own path to tread, yet they remained intertwined in the gusts of wind. The misunderstanding in the dilapidated alley, like silt lodged in their hearts, was pretended to be forgotten, yet unnoticeably birthed cracks. In the Eastern market, Yao Qiniang's stall buzzed with activity as she handed a string of candied hawthorn to an enthusiastic child, her lips curling with pride. If it tastes sweet, one must also be shrewd in their dealings. "Little brother, don't forget to help me see which official is the most meddlesome." A market woman chimed in jest. "Your words could lead even officials to take a detour." Yao Qiniang spat playfully, unfazed and smiling, while she discreetly set up several traps behind her stall. Tripwires, fake fallen coins, and scattered rice skins. Everything appeared lighthearted, yet it kept several lurking officials in the market spinning in confusion. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. In this marketplace, there exists both a realm of martial prowess and her own little dominion. As the afternoon progressed, emotions of those bustling about began to rise. Li Li wandered the alley with the brocade box, increasingly convinced that Su Jiyue's previous aloofness was perhaps not unintentional. The misunderstanding now seemed merely a reflection of their mutual anxiety and restlessness. Cheng Jing clenched his fists in the tavern's back hall, his unplaced fervor reminding him of the playful banter he once shared with Li Li. Yao Qiniang nestled behind her stall, chuckling as she recalled that their quarrel yesterday was actually rather beneficial. Otherwise, how would she have had the chance to boldly extort Cheng Jing for a meal of tofu? As dusk painted the southern city in soft hues, Su Jiyue finally received a response from her old friend at the Sifang Inn, who was willing to lend a helping hand, yet stated, "The situation is tense. Escorting must wait until tomorrow night." Though relieved, she feared for Li Li and the others encountering obstacles. After a moment's contemplation, she resolved to personally seek them out in the dilapidated alley, willing to do something for her companions regardless of yesterday's misunderstandings. At the same time, Lili returned to the dilapidated alley. Piecing together the threads linking Baiyu Lu in the north and the Su family case under the guidance of the old scholar. The name Han Luochen became the sharpest blade in his grasp. This ambitious and power-hungry minister had quietly intertwined countless threads within the marketplace. On the other side of the market, Yao Qiniang intercepted Cheng Jing with a playful laugh. Ah, that note was written by Li, wasn't it? Quite cunning. You mustn't have another spat with Miss Su. Cheng Jing scratched his nose with a silly grin. Who said we were just fooling around? As people of the rivers and lakes, what can't we openly discuss? Yao Qiniang huffed lightly, handing him a string of hawthorn. Hero, enjoy the sweetness. But remember not to let your worries fester. Our group, while quarreling, must still move forward. The team gradually reconvened amidst the gaps of the marketplace. Though misunderstandings remained unfulfilled, they began to dissolve through countless small matters. Lili finally encountered Su Jiyue at the alley's entrance, both exchanging glances imbued with a hint of unease and relief. Su Jiyue spoke softly. I apologize. That day was too rushed. Lili responded with a hearty smile, patting his chest. No worries. In chaotic times, who hasn't harbored a troubled dream? Cheng Jing then patted Qiniang's shoulder and exclaimed, Tonight, there will be tofu. Let us celebrate our awakening from fragmented dreams and continue our adventures in the capital. The four shared a knowing smile. As the evening air thickened with the scent of fireworks, the lingering misunderstandings gradually dissolving amidst their laughter. The wind swept through the long alley. The path ahead remained fraught with challenges, yet they found solace in the companionship of one another. Meanwhile, in the back hall of the academy, the old scholar gazed into the night, murmuring, in a world of chaos akin to a chessboard, when one piece awakens, perhaps it can stir the tides. A new breeze began to rise. With the remnants of dreams fading, the night in the capital brimmed with anticipation. Chapter 12. Reunions in the alley. The brick wall at the end of the alley still retained the chill of yesterday, the morning mist lingering above the bluestone pavement. Thick as egg whites, Lili concealed himself in the corner, remnants of last night's escape still haunting him. He clutched a weathered note in his hand, its texture gritty, akin to crumpling a fragment of unextinguished hope. In the silence, the sound of light footsteps suddenly broke through. He held his breath, recognizing a familiar voice trailing off playfully. Li Xiong, if you crouch down any longer, you might end up discussing literature with the ground. Lili looked up to see Cheng Jing's carefree face emerge from the mist, dressed in a black cloth short coat with an old dagger hanging at his waist. A smirk still lingering from yesterday's banter. All right, Cheng Jing, you take the lead. I volunteer to join the table. Just promise not to involve the innocent. Lili coughed lightly, concealing his earlier panic. Cheng Jing shot him a sidelong glance, murmuring, when it comes to hide and seek, Li Xiong excels. I wandered through 3 alleys with Jiyu and Miss Yao yesterday. We ought to meet here. He then stepped aside, creating a small opening. Suddenly, a slender figure darted out from across the alley, blocking their path with a brisk step. Yao Qiniang, her hair elegantly pinned up, draped in a gray short cloak, brandished a somewhat tattered coin pouch, successfully repressing the anger that had boiled over from the previous night. With a sidelong glance, she quipped, Are we here for a contest, or to divide the spoils? Seems like those who ran off alone have no guilt in their hearts. Lili felt a warmth rise in his chest, unable to suppress a laugh. The tension in the air dissipated significantly with Yao Qiniang's teasing. He softly apologized. Last night's misunderstanding was my folly. I cannot blame others. Well, at least you admit it quickly, Yao Qiniang replied with a smirk, tossing the coin pouch in her hand, but you owe me for the sleep I lost last night. Remember, debts must be repaid. Cheng Jing chuckled and leaned closer. Patting her shoulder, Qiniang, we owe our escape to your clever trap last night. I'll note that down for Li Xiong. Yao Qiniang rolled her eyes. You can keep your heroic ledger. Don't think I rely solely on righteousness for my living. Lili couldn't help but chuckle, the atmosphere finally lightening. A breeze swept through, carrying the scent of steamed buns from the alley's entrance. Just as he was about to speak, he heard rustling behind the wall, as if someone was groping about. The group fell silent, exchanging glances. Cheng Jing's eyes flashed as his right hand rested on his dagger. Lili held his breath, ready to step back, when suddenly a thud echoed as something slid to the wall's edge. Who is that? A clear female voice called from the wall, feigning calm. If it's a robbery, could you show mercy? I only have half a preserved egg on me, and I can share. It was Su Jiyue's voice. Lily couldn't help but smirk, while Cheng Jing stifled a laugh, waiting for the next moment. Indeed, a somewhat disheveled face poked out from the wall. A strand of moss caught in her bangs. "Miss Su, have you been eavesdropping on my junior studies?" Yao Qiniang took the lead with the challenge. "How could I? I have always admired Mr. Li's literary skills. I came today to obtain a signature," Su Jiyue replied, her tone laced with playful indifference. Though fatigue lingered in her eyes, Lily stepped forward, taking the package Su Jiyue offered. "Can you come down? We are not here to select talents, but to divide the spoils." Su Jiyue nearly stumbled as she stepped down, but fortunately, Cheng Jing was quick to catch her arm. They exchanged glances, both quickly averting their eyes. Yao Qiniang waved her hand decisively, stating, "Everyone is here. It's better to resolve grievances than to deepen them. For last night's misunderstanding, each person owes me a tofu pot. If anyone dares to default, I will expose your embarrassing sleep-talking from last night." Lili smiled gently, clearing his throat and adjusting his sleeve, returning to the matter at hand. "After escaping from the Han residence last night, did everyone gain anything?" The three exchanged glances, a brief silence enveloping them. Su Jiyue removed a silver hairpin from her hair and gently caressed it in her palm. "Han Luochen has already sensed my movements and intends to lay an ambush within the city. His confidants are digging into the Su family's past accounts. There will be action soon." Cheng Jing snorted, resting his dagger on his knee. "That scoundrel Han not only wields power, but also resorts to schemes. We nearly fell into an ambush at the alley's entrance. If it weren't for Qiniang using leftover buns to confuse our pursuers, we might not have seen the light of day this morning." Yao Qiniang pouted. "That was still the old buns gifted by the third lady of the marketplace. Thank goodness for my cleverness." "Umph." Lili's gaze sharpened as he spoke softly. "Han Luochen's urgency to capture us stems from his desire to use the Su family case to eliminate rivals and cleanse officials with unclear loyalties." He unfolded the note. "Left by the old scholar last night, its handwriting thin and frail. The clue lies in the southern part of the city at Wufang. There's a private meeting place called Manxianglu. If we can obtain their account books, we might be able to turn the tide for the Su family." Su Jiyue tilted her head, her eyes sparkling with renewed determination. "Manxianglu likely harbors remnants of my Su family's former allies. In that case, I shall go investigate today." However, Cheng Jing stood up. "It might be too risky for a young lady to take such a prominent role. Li Xiong and I will go. Qiniang and Ji will stay here for backup. How's that sound?" Yao Qiniang interjected, hands on her hips. "If we're going, we should go together. More people means more mouths. Besides, that place may have enemies lying in wait. If you two make a mistake, who will help retrieve your corpses?" Lili bowed his head in contemplation, fully aware that each step forward was fraught with peril. He needed to uncover the truth to vindicate the Su family while evading the traps set by Han Luochen. Achieving great things depended on the few companions by his side. Su Jiyue chuckled lightly, reinserting her silver hairpin. "If you think I am a hindrance, then so be it, but the trap set by the Han family will not allow you two to wander off alone." Cheng Jing laughed heartily. "In that case, let us follow Qiniang's lead. We advance and retreat together. If anyone falters, they're the coward. Let us agree on 3 rules. When pursued, prioritize survival before seeking the account books. If it doesn't work out, we all advance or retreat together. If the sky collapses, someone will hold it up." Yao Qiniang immediately chimed in. "If I encounter trouble, for instance, if I trip over steamed buns and tofu, don't wait for me, just run." The atmosphere brightened, as yesterday's barriers quietly vanished, the bluestone beneath their feet seemingly radiating warmth. However, from the distance, a rustling sound approached the alley's entrance. Shadows flickered, and a figure in black darted past the wall, the insignia of Han Luochen's minions glinting in the morning light. "Lili's fart rasa," and he quietly gestured for everyone to tidy up their belongings. "This spirit of yours is precisely what we need." Su Jiyue patted his shoulder, teasingly. "Gongzi, today we shall engage in a battle of wits. Do avoid falling into any more dog holes. Lest it be more than Han Luochen who seeks to impeach you next time." Lili shrugged, flashing a mischievous smile. "If there are changes, I'll reward you with poetry at the tofu stall outside Manxianglu." The 4 packed their belongings and stealthily made their way through the winding alleys toward the southern part of the city. The fog began to dissipate, and the sounds of the capital's market grew lively. Han Luochen's minions had stealthily drawn near, their imminent threat echoing against the bluestone pavement. Yet, in this gray dawn, they walked shoulder to shoulder, forming a defiant shadow as they ventured into the unknown. The narrow alley was long. The moss at the corners pressed into fresh imprints. Their footsteps were light, and amidst laughter, the flickering shadows revealed a resolve more steadfast than the night before. Although the path ahead was perilous, the trust and unity in this moment were sufficient to withstand the impending storms. Chapter 13. A sudden turn at the tavern. A warm yellow light flowed along the bluestone alley into Jianghu, with the oil-papered windows casting the silhouettes of patrons. Like ink splatters on a canvas of muted chatter, Lily raised his gaze to the mottled wooden beams above, where Su Jiyue sat. Her delicate fingers poised on the teacup, her brows slightly arched, and a hint of teasing in her voice. "Brotherly, have you finally witnessed the bustling spectacle of this capital city's taverns today?" Just as he opened his mouth to respond, a wave of voices surged from below. Cheng Jing lounged in a corner, idly playing with a folding fan, while casting glances at Yao Qiniang, musing aloud, though the wine had not yet reached his lips. Whether it was the minions of the Han family serving it. Yao Qiniang slammed her wine cup onto the table, her gaze sweeping toward the staircase. "If that wine jug contains even a trace of poison, aside from Mr. Li, I fear the rest of us would only be able to recite a few verses of poetry before collapsing." Before her words could fully settle, her lips curled into a customary smirk, exuding a sense of nonchalance typical of the marketplace. Lily chuckled softly, refraining from engaging in Yao Qiniang's banter. The vigilance in his eyes was sharp, like a needle concealed, as he discreetly clutched the remnants of last night's oil paper. While the residual shock from the alleyway pursuit had yet to dissipate entirely, the old tavern, Jianghu, became their temporary refuge in the shadows. The trio was quietly deliberating the framing of the Su family when the sound of drums began to resonate from outside, echoing in the hearts of all present. Cheng Jing suddenly leaned toward the window, squinting slightly. A few new guests have arrived outside the tavern, dressed like young attendants from the Han residence, their demeanor rigid and likely not benign. The atmosphere, both inside and outside the tavern, grew taut with tension. Su Jiyue raised her right hand slightly, her index finger tapping lightly beneath the table. "Do not panic. The news is just spread. If Han Luochen has dispatched someone to search, they will surely seek to expose our vulnerabilities." Lily lowered his voice. "This tavern is a cacophony interspersed with silence. If we reveal even a hint of a flaw tonight, we may find ourselves ensnared in the Han residence's trap by tomorrow." Yao Qiniang wished she could rouse them from this crisis with a clatter of coins, recalling the old adage that it is not the thief's cunning one should fear, but rather the thief's intent. "Mr. Li, with your vast knowledge, can you truly deceive the Han family with a mere scrap of paper?" Cheng Jing propped his chin on his hand and winked at her. "Qiniang, Brother Li is not only quick-witted with his tongue, but also sharp-minded. Tonight, we must ensure that those minions of the Han family catch hold of the wrong end of the rope." While they exchanged knowing glances, a sudden shout echoed from below. The singer is about to take the stage. The voices surged upward along with the strains of music. "Su Jiyue, adjusted headfirst." A playful glimmer in her eyes. "Brotherly, do you still remember when I played the role of a performer at the market last December? Tonight it is my turn." With that, she gracefully retrieved the gauzy attire prepared in the corner, her steps imbued with elegance and ease, as if she were a figure from a painting brought to life amidst the music. Downstairs, the lanterns burned brightly, and several attendants from the Han residence moved stealthily around the tea tables, occasionally casting puzzled glances upward. As Su Jiyue entered the stage, her face concealed, the sound of jingling bells accompanied her enchanting steps, capturing the attention of the patrons. She parted her crimson lips and began to sing a piece titled Emo Shango, embedding subtle insinuations within the verses, directing attention toward the Li family and the fabricated news regarding the suitcase. Lily stifled a laugh, covering his mouth, and gestured to Cheng Jing, "You go downstairs and make a round, divert those Han minions. Remember, do not reveal any hints." Cheng Jing promptly rose, moving gracefully toward the counter. "Waiter, bring me a pot of old wine, and while you're at it, inquire which esteemed guest is gracing us tonight." He intentionally directed his words toward the group from the Han residence, ensuring their focus remained captivated by Su Jiyue's melodious voice. Yao Qiniang seized the opportunity to slip into the kitchen, softly beckoning the head chef. There's been quite a stir in the black market outside the capital lately. Has a new buyer by the name of Chun visited Ju Xianlu? Her words hinted at a deeper investigation, subtly confirming whether the tavern had indeed fallen under the Han family's influence. Meanwhile, Li Li perused the oil paper. As for the Su family's case, there will be developments in the Eastern market tomorrow at the hour of Chun. He leaned in, whispering as he concealed the false news within the paper, deliberately placing the note near the stair railing. A Han servant, amidst the chaos, picked up the oil paper and rushed down the stairs, darting outside. Cheng Jing feigned ignorance, exclaiming, "Oh, what is that? Did someone forget to collect a bill?" As Su Jiyue concluded her song and the audience dispersed, she turned back. A knowing smile exchanged with Li Li. She performed a shallow curtsy, veiling half her face, and whispered, "The crowd below has dispersed. The news has been scattered. Now it remains to see who will keep the watchful eye." Yao Qiniang dashed back upstairs, patting Li Li on the shoulder. "Your method is rather unorthodox, yet remarkably effective. Those Han minions will believe the false news, and the Eastern market will surely be lively. I shall wager a few coins that by tomorrow afternoon, we will see results." Cheng Jing settled cross-legged, resting an empty wine cup on his palm. "Brother Li, what is our next move? Are we to lay the Su family's case bare for all to see? Wouldn't that drive Han Luochen to the brink?" Li Li pondered momentarily, a suppressed smile creeping onto his face. "The Han family's men will taste a bitter defeat tonight. We shall create a diversion in the tavern, leading the clues to the Eastern market. When the winds of chaos arise, we may uncover a path amidst the turmoil." Su Jiyue's gaze flickered, half in approval, half in caution as she remarked, "Tonight's collaboration has proven to be quite harmonious. However, Han Luochen is a man of profound depth and will not be easily swayed by a mere performance." Yao Qiniang adjusted her sleeves. "I noticed that the steward from the Han residence glared at us as if we owed him 2 copper coins. Mr. Li, we shall need your silver tongue again next time to earn some favor." Cheng Jing chuckled heartily. "Among us, we are bold yet meticulous, quick of tongue and quicker of hand. It will be a contest to see who can stir up the capital into a frenzy first." The four exchanged glances as a sudden sound of hurried footsteps emerged from outside the tavern. It was the commotion brought by the Han servants, but it was now fading into the distance. The atmosphere inside the tavern relaxed, akin to hot water dispersing the lingering chill. They collectively sighed in relief, each remaining alert. Yet a deeper sense of camaraderie began to blossom. Su Jiyue adjusted her attire, a flicker of confidence in her eyes. "After tonight's venture, we have certainly tested our mettle. As long as we each hold our ground, no matter how deep or ruthless Han Luochen may be, there will always be a moment for a turnaround." Li Li folded the oil paper neatly, concealing it within his sleeve, calmly gazing toward the entrance. "Tomorrow, the situation in the Eastern market will be tumultuous. We should capitalize on the chaos. Cheng brother, Qiniang, let's raise a toast to the labor of this night." Yao Qiniang snatched the wine jug, pouring generously. "If we are to drink, let us do so with gusto. Do not mention those power-hungry schemes that frighten me into dreaming of climbing walls at night." Cheng Jing clinked his cup with hers, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "Brotherly, after tomorrow's Eastern market, these messy accounts in the capital will become all the more intriguing." The lights flickered, laughter concealing an unspoken tension. The night breeze wafted in, carrying the bustle of the marketplace and the trepidations of the Jianghu. Beneath the window of Ju Xianlu, the shadows of the four clinked against the mottled tabletop, time flowing gradually. In the deep of the night, currents stirred beneath the surface, and the first true collaborative effort among the group quietly began to take root after this cup of wine. Chapter 14. Conversations by lantern light. The night slowly seeped into the small courtyard of the inn, casting a mottled glow on the vermilion doorframe. The lanterns beneath the eaves had long been lit, swaying gently to emit circles of soft yellow light. Li Li leaned against the window, clutching the still damp paper, his fingers tracing the blurred characters. The sounds of footsteps below were chaotic, occasionally interrupted by Yao Qiniang's boisterous reprimands. "Align the wine spout properly. If it tilts again, do you believe I will knock you on the head with a scallion?" Cheng Jing leaned casually against the doorframe, the fatigue from days of travel evident in the stubble on his neck. He chuckled through clenched teeth. "Qiniang, save that scallion for later. It could be useful for a scrambled egg if we get hungry tonight." Yao Qiniang snatched a makeshift prop from the waiter and tossed it onto the table. Rolling her eyes, Instead of jesting, it would be better to calculate how many taels our lives are worth. She glanced around to see that the three remained silent, prompting her to grin. Let me be blunt. In these times, it is either money or life, and we must all tread carefully. The candlelight in the hall was bright. Su Jiyue sat sideways on the couch, silver ornaments hidden in her dark hair, suddenly pouring a bowl of warm tea for Li Li. Her gaze was soft, yet there was an underlying stubbornness. Brotherly, while you jest and take things lightly, you haven't asked, have you ever felt fear? Li Li accepted the tea, a faint smile gracing his lips, the spirit of youth flickering in his expression. Fear, I have certainly felt it. But what is it that I fear? Is it hunger? Is it being pursued? Or is it being forgotten? Cheng Jing waved his hand dismissively, glancing at Li Li. Oh, your words are more convoluted than poetry. I am straightforward. My father passed away early, and I grew up amidst the chaos of the Jianghu. My greatest fear is imprisonment. Once behind stone walls, one loses all will to live. As for other concerns, as long as there is food, drink, and brothers, that is all that matters. Yao Qiniang interjected with a hint of concern. I fear running out of provisions. You all are capable fighters, but if my pockets are empty, I won't even have pig's head meat to gnaw on. That would be truly difficult to endure. With that, she filled her cup with tea, tilting her head back to drink, exuding an air of nonchalance akin to a seasoned merchant. The night breeze wafted through the partially open window, causing the paper to ripple. The candlelight flickered, and Su Jiyue's expression dimmed slightly as the silver hairpin in her hand drooped, producing a soft clink. She spoke softly. What I truly fear is not poverty or wandering. On the day the Su family faced calamity, I thought the sky had fallen. In truth, my greatest fear lies in the moment of uncertainty. To be utterly powerless yet pretend to be unafraid. Li Li's gaze shifted, and he gently set down his teacup. Leaning forward, he remarked, if anyone doubts the young master's courage, they should have believed it after witnessing him at the tavern earlier. Miss Su's bravery puts me to shame. Su Jiyue smiled, yet she refused to acknowledge his jest. With you all here, having a bit of courage is nothing remarkable. In this world, it is solitude and fear that truly terrify. When shared, such burdens become lighter. Her tone was as gentle as the night's breeze. A sudden silence enveloped the room. The candle's flickering shadows glistened in several pairs of eyes, and the recently stirred sorrow was abruptly dispelled by Yao Qiniang's emphatic gesture as she slapped the table. Enough of the theatrics. It's late, and I've had my fill of sentiment. Allow me to tell you a story that will surely lift your spirits. Cheng Jing smirked, playfully inquiring, what story might that be? Surely not the one about your aunt at the North City gate berating the pig? Yao Qiniang rolled her eyes, hands on her hips. You know nothing. This is an authentic tale from my uncle's lineage. One year during the Jianghu festival, the butcher Wang from Jiren Alley had a pig that inexplicably learned to dive through windows. One night, while he lay in bed with the window open for fresh air, the pig poked its head in, startling his wife so much that she leaped out the window in pursuit of the pig. The pig, however, ran straight into the neighbor's tofu shop, crashing into a vat of soy milk. Fortunately, she didn't drown, but she ruined 4 vats of tofu. The room, once tinged with melancholy, erupted in laughter. Cheng Jing covered his mouth, chuckling as he wiped his eyes, that butcher having to chase both the pig and his wife. I wonder who will end up with their stomachs opened. Su Jiyue also chuckled softly, cradling her teacup, her eyes sparkling. Li Li, with a hint of warmth in his gaze, added, if another sheep were to join the fray, Jiren Alley might have to be renamed Sheep Pen Alley. Yao Qiniang, with a proud tilt of her head, resembled a theatrical troupe leader as she admonished. Look at you all enjoying yourselves. If only people could be as carefree as that pig, trampling over a few vats of tofu without a care for the cost, life would be much simpler. But alas, who isn't afraid? Those noble ones, regardless of their status, are all equally fearful. Although we may be lowly commoners, at least we possess a bit of courage and can face our troubles with a smile. From afar, the sound of the night watchman's clapper echoed, resonating with the tranquility of the inn. The candlelight cast shadows of varying depths on the paper, reflecting a glimmer of brightness in several pairs of eyes. Li Li gathered his sleeves, speaking earnestly. Tomorrow, the powerful minister Han Luochen will not relent, and the winds of the capital grow ever more tense. If we allow our fears to govern us, we may find ourselves at a standstill. But tonight, having expressed our fears and shared our laughter, we shall face whatever comes together. It shall not be insurmountable. Cheng Jing straightened, a newfound solemnity emerging amidst his previous haze. You speak true. Even a brute knows to forge brotherhood. As partners, we shall carve our path. Should trouble arise again, I will be the first to draw my blade. Yao Qiniang nodded firmly. With ample provisions, who dares to go hungry? Su Jiyue smiled gently, her voice laced with warmth and conviction. No matter how arduous tomorrow's journey may be, if I take even half a step back, I shall be no better than a pup. Outside the inn, the night grew cooler, and the cicada's song dwindled. Though each person bore their own past, they were truly united in this moment. The distant sound of hooves striking the bluestone echoed from afar, heralding the approach of new trials. Yet within the room, the four shared their vulnerabilities and muted fears, weaving them into laughter. As the hour grew late, Lily passed by the window, raising the porcelain lamp slightly to cast more light within the room. He paused for a moment, smiling back, resembling a sliver of dawn amidst the night, softly illuminating the path for the challenges that lay ahead. Chapter 15. The trial at the mountain gate. The candlelight in the courtyard had yet to extinguish, a faint orange hue filtering through the paper windows, reminiscent of the remnants of last night's dreams. Lily grasped the still warm teacup in his hands, feeling the porcelain's coolness against his fingers, inhaling a hint of bamboo fragrance. Outside, the night had not fully faded. The mist at the foot of the mountain lingered like unmelted snow, enhancing the mountain gate's lofty and mysterious allure. Yao Qiniang was busy sorting through a pile of bags, not forgetting to jest. In this attire, ascending the mountain gate may be harder than reaching the heavens. Li Shu Sheng, why do you forsake your noble visage only to don this mourning garb? Who do you plan to intimidate with that gaunt face? Lili Faina di Nusansa. If I truly had a noble face, I would likely be at home feasting on roasted chicken, rather than wandering these woods with you all. Cheng Jing secured his sword, slinging his bag over his shoulder, a smile playing on his lips as he bowed to the group. It's best to set off at dawn. By the time the sun rises, Elder Wang of the mountain gate will surely have had enough rest, and we should prepare for some inquiries. Su Jiyue adjusted her sleeves, her smile brightening. Rest assured, I have my ways of dealing with him. If Elder Wang is displeased, I shall offer him 3 cups of tea, and surely he will remember the old kindness of the Su family. Yao Qiniang pouted. Sister Jiyue, in this world, it is easier to drink wine than to sip tea. Perhaps it would be more prudent to offer him 3 strings of copper coins. With that, she tightened her bundle. Be careful. Last night, I noticed a few dogs at the mountain gate. We might just end up with a bite. The courtyard door creaked open, and the group followed the stream upward, the thin mist swirling around their ankles. Cheng Jing led, his steps light, as if he were quite familiar with a mountain that inspired both reverence and trepidation. Lily walked thoughtfully, contemplating the gravity of the situation. The mountain gate was known for its aloofness, not permitting casual acquaintances easily. Reeds swayed gently in the breeze along the mountain path, while grasshoppers startled and then returned to the wet mud. Su Jiyue intentionally fell back a couple of steps, quietly asking Lily, "Do you have confidence in this?" Lily turned back with a wry smile. Confidence is scarce, but one must feign assurance. Power struggles are merely gambles. When the game reaches a critical juncture, one must test their luck. Soon, they arrived at a stone staircase engraved with the words Shunwei Mountain Gate, the characters bold and vibrant, the ink still fresh. 2 disciples stood guard beside the gate, their expressions cold. Cheng Jing stepped forward, clasping his fists, adopting an old-fashioned demeanor. Forgive me, esteemed brothers, I am Cheng, bearing the orders of my master to escort a few friends up the mountain to pay respects to Elder Wang. I kindly ask you to relay this. The leading disciple scoffed. Recently, affairs at the mountain have been tumultuous. No outsiders are permitted. Have you forgotten the rules after all this time? Cheng Jing blinked rapidly, swiftly handing over a letter, lowering his voice. Elder Wang will understand upon reading this. These 3 are rare guests. The disciple took the letter, casting a scrutinizing glance at the group. Wait here. Yao Qiniang clicked her tongue. It seems our faces aren't worth much after all. However, Su Jiyue smiled slightly, softly reassuring, it's merely the beginning. At such junctures, opportunities often arise. Indeed, after a brief moment, the disciple returned with a softened expression. Elder Wang invites you in. As they ascended the stone steps of the mountain gate, the winding path was shrouded in depth. Upon entering the hall, they were enveloped by a chill. Elder Wang sat high upon the dais, his gray beard white, his demeanor stern, yet his handsomeness conveyed authority. He cast a sharp gaze over the assembly, finally lingering on Su Jiyue. "Misu?" Elder Wang's tone was measured, yet firm. "Your father, Su Huaishi, once sat in this hall. Now you arrive with outsiders in need. Are you aware of the Mountain Gate's rules?" Su Jiyue bowed earnestly, her expression sincere. "Elder Wang, though I have fallen from grace, I have not forgotten the protection once afforded by Shunwei Mountain. In light of my family's peril and my father's unjust plight, I have no other recourse but to disturb you." Elder Wang remained silent, only inquiring, "What brings you here? If you seek assistance, you must undergo trials. Otherwise, do not blame the Mountain Gate for its ruthlessness." Cheng Jing's lips twitched, revealing a hint of helplessness. "Elder Wang, I am well aware of the rules of the martial world. Let us proceed with the trials as per the mountain's tradition." Yao Qiniang murmured softly, "It is likely that they need to climb over walls and burrow through holes." Two disciples then brought forth the trial items, a square bronze chessboard and a jar of herbal wine. "Young Masterly, you have just studied the ways of man. The chessboard differentiates the skilled from the unskilled." The elder's gaze seemed tinged with provocation, stating that if they could pass this test, the Mountain Gate would echo with their success. Lili accepted the chess pieces with both hands, a light sheen of sweat forming in his palms. This game concealed intricate mysteries. Relying solely on his chess skills would likely not suffice for victory. He pondered quietly, and, at a decisive moment, he suddenly altered his strategy, stirring the entire board like the turbulent waters of the East Sea. Initially frowning, Elder Wang observed that Lili not only balanced offense and defense, but also advanced with a unique style. His interest gradually peaked. In the intervals between moves, Su Jiyue presented tea and softly spoke of her father, Su Fu, being wronged. Her words were sincere, devoid of lamentation. Yet each one struck deeply at the hearts of those listening. Elder Wang's expression softened slightly, the chill in his brow easing, and his tone became gentler. Cheng Jing seized the opportunity as the atmosphere lightened, offering a cup of wine. "I've been under the guidance of the elders since my youth. I dedicate this drink to the elder and to the camaraderie of the past." Elder Wang lifted the wine cup, took a mere sip, and abruptly set it down. "Individuals of the Jianghu have their responsibilities. Having entered this Mountain Gate, one must adhere to the rules. Lidi possessis skilinchis. Jiyue's chivalrous heart is commendable, yet beyond rules, mutual trust is essential. In the final test, the four of you must collaborate to unlock the mechanisms within the gate." With that, the back door of the grand hall creaked open, revealing a stone wall embedded with a locking mechanism, adorned with a diagram of the 8 trigrams and 9 palaces, forming a maze. Yao Qiniang exclaimed in despair. "This is not mere fortune-telling at the market. This is a true test of intellect." Lili had already grasped the situation. They must explore separately, advancing cautiously without haste. He swiftly divided the group into external support and internal exploration, assigning Su Jiyue to calculate positions, Yao Qiniang to search for blind spots in the mechanisms, and Cheng Jing to clear the path with strength. He positioned himself at the center, observing the changes in the formation. For a time, the symbols on the stone wall rotated, and the mechanisms within clicked and clacked. Yao Qiniang revealed a copper mirror she carried, reflecting a beam of light from the wall, immediately revealing the opening of a hidden compartment. Su Jiyue skillfully coordinated the positions and whispered commands. Cheng Jing braced himself against the impending explosion of the stone door. "Hurry, don't let old Cheng grow a long beard." A gust of excitement surged within Li as he realized that this formation embodied the essence of unity. He exclaimed, "This formation holds no mystery. Its strength lies in a shared heart. Everyone, do not act solely for your own interests." Together, they pushed against the stone door. After a resounding crash, the stone door slowly creaked open. Within the grand hall, Elder Wang stepped forward, his dust brush in hand, and the frost on his face receded by half, finally revealing a rare smile. "Rules are rigid, yet the human heart is alive. You have passed the test. Enter and discuss together." Cheng Jing breathed a sigh of relief, putting his arm around Li's shoulder, saying, "If only we had said we needed to work together sooner. We have not brought shame upon our Jianghu." Yao Qiniang wiped her brow, complaining, "Everyone understands the principle, yet during the test, no one is willing to yield." Suis millet briefly, gazing at the brightening sky. How many more dangers await us in the future? Fortunately, the principles lie within our fellowship. Outside the stone door, The morning mist had dissipated, and daylight shone brightly. For the first time, they stepped into the depths of the mountain gate with newfound camaraderie, leaving behind the remnants of winter and stepping forward into fresh green branches. The path of the Jianghu is long, and the future uncertain, yet within this day's cooperation, they nurtured hope and courage. This mountain gate was not only a trial, but also a new beginning. Chapter 16. Undercurrents surging the courtyard door creaked slightly. A sliver of morning orange light filtering through the paper window, casting a vibrant glow on Yao Qiniang's face. She rummaged through her belongings, grumbling. I wonder where those sparrows went. They're smarter than us this early in the morning. Cheng Jing yawned at the door, leaning his sword against the table, and quietly remarked, "Miss, if you truly care about the sparrows, you might as well pay attention to our escape route." I sensed something amiss in the winds outside the courtyard. Lily sat in the hall, his brow slightly raised, the weariness in his eyes not yet faded. But his thoughts were already wandering. He gently pressed the letter given to him by the elder at the mountain gate with his fingertip. The words within displayed a sharp intent. Just then, Su Jiyue entered the hall, cradling a handful of water apricots. Her silver bell-like laughter dancing beside the table. Brother Cheng is right. Outside the courtyard, every 3 steps is a sentry, and every 5 steps a lookout. Even the ducks at Zhu Xianlu have turned vigilant. They are signaling even when they relieve themselves. Yao Qiniang shot Su Jiyue a glare while continuing to sift through her bag. "You're too carefree when I ask you to check the accounts. You're preoccupied with someone else's ducks." Lily lightly interrupted their banter. "Last night, news came from the mountain gate that Han Luochen has set up new spies within the city. If we recklessly venture out today, not only will the winds outside be fierce, but our pots and pans may also be marked for theft." Cheng Jing slammed the table, yet his expression remained calm. "See? I told you the owner of Zhu Xianlu treated me to extra drinks yesterday out of ill intent. It seems there are informants within the tavern." He sniffed the wine jar. "This wine is colder than Yao Qiniang's silver." Yao Qiniang shot him a glance, though her brows furrowed deeper. She scrutinized the account book on the table, her finger pausing on several unfamiliar entries before suddenly looking up. "This morning, a thief caused a ruckus at the market. I compensated a few coins. Oddly, the butcher across the street has been unusually chatty, suggesting a change of location for settling accounts. He has never meddled in such matters, so someone must have sweetened the deal." Su Jiyue suddenly laughed, attempting to lighten the mood with a jest. "If that's the case, don't let me guess that the few pounds of beef at the market were bought with Han Luochen silver." Lily narrowed his eyes. His gaze as clear as Jiyue's. The courtyard and its surroundings are both uneasy. Han Luochen's men have likely not all shown themselves. "Qiniang, keep a close watch on the market. Cheng Jing, check the back entrance of the tavern to see if there are any traces of last night's visitors." Cheng Jing cheerfully stood up, waving his sleeve. "Understood. If I run into a couple of fools, it will be a good opportunity to practice my skills." Before he could finish, hurried footsteps rushed in from outside, and in came Lao Huang from the market. "Gentlemen, Miss Yao, the little peach of the market is just closing up. I saw a few men in blue clothes talking to her. I thought it suspicious and hurried to inform you." Yao Qiniang swiftly tucked away the account book and grabbed Cheng Jing's sleeve, exclaiming, "Let us go. There's likely trouble at the market." The group wasted no time exchanging words and quickly dispersed. Li and Su Jiyue navigated through the back alleys, while Cheng Jing and Yao Qiniang hastened toward the market. The midday sun sliced through the alley shadows, and the street vendors' calls echoed for miles. The atmosphere still filled with the bustle of everyday life, oblivious to the undercurrents quietly flowing through the throngs of the market. Upon arriving at the beef shop, Cheng Jing spotted a man in blue blocking Xiao Tao's stall, speaking oddly. "Is this stall yours? I've heard you often associate with that scholar over there. Be careful not to attract trouble." Fear flickered in Xiao Tao's eyes, yet she fiercely guarded her stall. Yao Qiniang stepped forward, her smile bold. "Oh, isn't this Zhao San Yi from the Qing Yitang? What brings you here instead of enjoying Chen's old soup?" The blue-clad man smiled coldly, his gaze sweeping over Yao Qiniang and Cheng Jing, and he spoke in a deep voice. "I've heard you've been getting close to the Su family. Are you aware that Lord Han dislikes outsiders meddling in official matters?" Cheng Jing narrowed his eyes, half teasing and half challenging. If Lord Han were truly capable, why would he send soft-hearted people to stir trouble at the market? The onlookers among the vendors lowered their heads, and the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Yao Qiniang calculated quietly and suddenly tossed a piece of frozen tofu under the stall, clearing her throat to signal Xiao Tao to pick it up and hand it to the blue-clad man. As the saying goes, in the marketplace, transactions should be clear. If Zhao San Yi takes this tofu back, it can serve as a token of our meeting today. The man took the tofu, hesitated for a moment, and then turned to leave, clearly testing the waters. Cheng Jing watched him depart, chuckling softly. This tofu is likely thicker than their faces. It will let Han Luochen catch a whiff of the market scent. Yao Qiniang whispered, "Look at those vendors. Their expressions are off." When I checked the accounts earlier, I noticed someone had added a few extra expenses, clearly using this as an opportunity to relay information. She handed the account book to Cheng Jing. "Look at this handwriting. It's from the accountant Lao Song. Usually, he only notes the inflow and outflow. But today he has learned to write the word scenery like you." Cheng Jing clicked his tongue in amazement. Indeed, there are many hidden tricks. It appears Han Luochen has not only infiltrated the market, but also placed people in the tavern's kitchen. On the other side, Li and Su Jiyue were searching for clues left in the alley as night fell. Su Jiyue tossed a water apricot against the wall and pointed at a row of footprints, exclaiming, "Look, the pattern is not from our courtyard. It seems someone was lurking last night." Li crouched to examine the footprints and discovered a piece of cool, fragrant grass embedded in the brick crevice. A cold smile crept across his lips as he recognized it as a signature scent from the Ji of the West Market, commonly used by the Han clan. It appeared that tonight's tavern was not merely sending off a solitary guest. Su Jiyue remarked, "For now, we can only trace the footprints. To follow the trail, someone must lure the snake from its hole." Li furrowed his brow and said, "Once Cheng Jing returns, we shall use him as bait to see how many fish Han Luochen has dispatched." The afternoon market gradually regained its bustle as Yao Qiniang returned to the courtyard with Cheng Jing, her expression tinged with seriousness. Everyone gathered in front of the hall, laying out the account books and clues on the table. Cheng Jing slapped the table and laughed. If Han Luochen were to know of your tricks, he might invite the entire city's accountants to investigate you. Yao Qiniang snorted, saying, "No matter how meticulously we examine the accounts, they cannot rival the unpredictable nature of human hearts." Old Song's handwriting has changed, and even Butcher Wang has softened his tone. Even Xiao Tao is nearly in tears. Our foundation may have already leaked. Li stirred his tea, his gaze shifting across the faces of those present. Han Luochen was testing with power, overtly sowing discord while covertly manipulating hearts. Tonight, we must investigate separately, feigning disarray to turn the tables and ensnare the true serpent. Sui ismiled gently. Her voice bright, yet laced with hidden danger. If there truly is an insider, we might as well stage a play to ensnare him. Yao Qiniang raised her head, her eyes sparkling with streetwise cunning. "Excellent. I am eager to see whether the Qing Yitang has come to purchase tofu or our hearts." Outside the courtyard, the wind continued to howl. The market, taverns, and court intertwined into an invisible net. Though they were mere commoners, they had already stepped into the surging undercurrents. The fading light reflected off the account books, mirroring the calculations and worries in their hearts. As night deepened, Li closed the courtyard door, and everyone returned to their rooms, their steps more resolute than in the morning. The wind swept through the alley, stirring the scattered remnants of daily life, as if recounting the struggles and resistances of ordinary beings. Beneath the hidden currents, the capital had quietly transformed. That night, each person in the courtyard harbored their own thoughts, carrying the sparks of the martial world and power struggles, silently awaiting the moment when the winds would rise. Chapter 17. The truth and the falsehood. The morning sun had just settled upon the eaves, and the lingering coolness of dawn still lingered on the bluestone slabs. Su Jiyue picked up the warm blanket that Yao Qiniang had used for bedding the previous night, carefully folding it, when her peripheral vision caught sight of a figure standing outside the courtyard door, the gray cloak draped down to the ankles, resembling a sunshade used by vendors in the sweltering summer noon. A gust of wind lifted the hood, revealing a trace of the night that had not yet dissipated. Cheng Jing had just intended to buy breakfast at the market for Li, but upon witnessing this scene, he turned and quipped, "Well, it seems breakfast won't come from our mouths today. Someone has specially delivered it to our doorstep." The cloaked figure remained silent, retrieving a letter from within their garment and extending it towards Su Jiyue with both hands, a humble demeanor masking their expression. Su Jiyue furrowed her brow slightly. Yet her hand instinctively reached out. Li, who had been transcribing offerings at the writing desk, looked up at the unusual scene and approached with a hint of mockery. Such fortune for the young lady. Usually, it's just freshly made rouge. But today, a carrier pigeon delivers a letter? The letter was particularly plain, sealed with the official stamp of the Su family, identical to what she remembered. The paper was slightly yellowed, clearly not new, with a tiny line of traditional characters inscribed. The crisis will be resolved. Return swiftly. The signature belonged to the private seal, typically used by the eldest sister of the Su family. Having weathered many storms, they were not easily swayed by unexpected goodwill. Su Jiyue, Yao Qiniang, with a playful glint in her eye, interjected in a teasing tone reminiscent of the South City, Cheng Jing. Ah, dear girl, could it be that a relative has heard you recently master the art of making sweet osmanthus and has come to ask for the secret? Cheng Jing chuckled, nearly bursting into laughter, noting that the arrival of this letter was as hurried as a drunken man from last night, arriving without leaving a whisper of wind behind. Li patted Su Jiyue's shoulder in a gesture of reassurance, yet turned to the cloaked figure and said, "Might this letter have traveled a long distance? Unfortunately, Li, rarely engage in open-hearted exchanges with others. We must adhere to our old customs and exchange couplets." The cloaked figure remained immobile, neither confirming nor denying. An idea sparked in Li's mind as he dipped his brush in ink and wrote the first line, "A bright moon night among the pines." He held it up for the figure to see, reciting, "If you can respond to this couplet, you must be a trusted confidant." Yao Qiniang, sensing the amusement, chimed in with a dialectical cheer. "Oh, does this method of Li Gongzi really work? I think we should just ask this brother for a bowl of pea pudding and settle the matter after." The cloaked figure hesitated to respond, fixated on the letter, neither advancing nor retreating. Su Jiyue had yet to open the letter. She held it delicately, running her fingers over the wax seal. After a moment, she said, "This private seal is only used by my eldest sister and mother. No one else could possibly replicate it." Yao Qiniang rolled her eyes and shot a glance at Li, clicking her tongue in disbelief. "The letter is genuine, but the bearer is quite peculiar. What if this is a trick from that rogue Han Luochen? Who knows? One day he might send you embroidered shoes to trick you into thinking your mother is gravely ill." Cheng Jing, sensing the tension, suddenly stepped forward, positioning himself protectively in front of Su Jiyue and reaching towards the cloaked figure. "Remove your hood and dare to speak plainly." The cloaked figure hesitated, then actually removed the hood. Everyone was taken aback. It was the same servant from the inn corridor last night, now dressed differently. The servant's face was pale, beads of cold sweat still clinging to his forehead. "I am merely following orders to deliver this letter. After I hand it over, I must take my leave. I hope you will show mercy." Though his words were smooth and polished, he mentioned nothing of the mastermind behind the letter. Yao Qiniang burst into laughter, shaking her hand. "You must have grown up performing tricks at our market. Your face-changing skills could fool even the mountain gate." Li pondered for a moment, and then spoke earnestly. "You say the crisis will be resolved, yet you do not specify whose crisis this refers to. You also fail to mention when to return or to where. If this letter truly came from the Su family, why would my eldest sister send it with you? A stranger?" The servant stammered, unable to provide a coherent answer. At that moment, the wind chimes above the eaves chimed softly, echoing in the hearts of those present. Su Jiyue slowly retracted the letter, looking at the servant with a gentle yet sharp tone. "I remember you. You lingered in the kitchen downstairs for quite a while last night. Do you have anything to say?" The servant's lips moved twice before he suddenly dropped his gaze. "I am merely a hired messenger. You should be cautious." With that, he turned and swiftly exited, disappearing into the outer alley. The courtyard fell silent. Yao Qiniang gazed at the letter, her curiosity nearly driving her to scratch the walls. Yet she scratched the back of her head instead. "It seems our little scene is quite lively. The stage is nearly ready to open." Cheng Jing closed the door with a decisive snap, murmuring, "Han Luochen's grasp must have extended another inch. This kind of letter can stir hearts into disarray." Li, however, turned to Su Jiyue, his tone serious. "Whether this letter is genuine or not is secondary. If we are led by the nose in every move we make, we would truly waste the journey we have endured." Su Jiyue briefly, tearing the letter in half and cutting it into thin strips before tossing them into the courtyard stove. "From today onward, I shall not be bound by the past. I want to stand with all of you and discern the truths and falsehoods of this situation. Yao Qiniang clapped her hands, beaming. Miss Su, your decisiveness is commendable. Just like perfectly cooked peas, neither too soft nor too hard. There is flavor in the chew. Laughter erupted among them, and the air seemed to suddenly brim with an unspoken understanding. The wind continued to rustle through the courtyard, casting a dappled shadow of leaves. Lily tucked away the unfinished page of paper with a hint of nostalgia. The mountain gate is not like the marketplace, and the marketplace is not like the court. Yet, I must say, the fluctuations of human hearts are the hardest to decipher. As noon approached, there were no further disturbances outside the courtyard. The group decided to set the table for breakfast, discussing their next course of action as they ate. Yao Qiniang held a steamed bun in her hand. Yet she did not forget to make her comments. If the messenger comes again, let me pretend to be a sick old woman. Whoever dares to intrude will receive a mouthful of my spit. Su Jiyue chuckled and playfully nudged her, with such nonchalance. Even if Han Luochen himself were to come, he would likely avoid you. The courtyard was illuminated by the morning light, with remnants of yesterday's rain forming green moss in the corners. Though several of them may still have doubts, their hearts were already in sync. The ups and downs of life softened by the warmth of this shared camaraderie. Lily gazed at Su Jiyue, who was diligently adding firewood at the stove, and felt a stir in his heart. He suddenly realized that although this small courtyard was humble, it was worth more than 1,000 pieces of gold. The bustling streets of the market were unpredictable, but their reliance on one another had become the most dependable talisman for protection. Outside the courtyard, the sound of children chasing one another echoed, bringing with it a wave of laughter. Cheng Jing leapt onto the courtyard wall, looking out at the lively market in the distance, and exclaimed, "The weather is perfect today. Let us first get through this hurdle, and then we shall see what tricks Han Luochen has up his sleeve." The group laughed as they tidied up the leftover food, a warm breeze wafting through the small courtyard. Standing side by side, though each harbored their own worries, a resilient light gradually ignited in their eyes. The scenery seemed remarkably different from yesterday, and the events outside the courtyard quietly unfolded a broader, new chapter. Chapter 18. Market storm. The lingering coolness of the morning still clung to the courtyard. Lily stood before the writing desk, clutching the unsorted letters from the previous night, squinting slightly as he peered outside the door. The streaks of morning light seemed uncertain whether the city was genuinely sunny or merely pretending to rain. Yao Qiniang rummaged through her bundle while chattering incessantly. "Miss Su, we cannot afford to discount this clothing. In the bustling market of the capital, a single red shirt can fetch half a silver." She made a face at Su Jiyue, her tone brimming with the boldness of a street vendor, yet tinged with a hint of anxiety. Su Jiyue stood at the door, lowering her gaze and clutching the letter she received last night tightly in her sleeve. She attempted to smile, but it felt as insipid as a bowl of cold porridge that could not be warmed. "Do not worry, Yao Jie. If we ever suffer a loss, young Masterly will be there to settle accounts for us." Lily cleared his throat, a mischievous smile creeping onto his lips. "Though it lacked the usual levity, I would never engage in a losing business. At most, I would sacrifice a life." Cheng Jing entered, his sword slung casually over his shoulder, his brow bright with the freshness of the morning. He surveyed the four of them and lazily remarked, "Last night, Han Luochen's subordinates set a trap near Xinglu. The market is buzzing with rumors. Ligo, what do you say? Shall we sell paintings today or perform?" Yao Qiniang slammed her abacus onto the counter with a loud thud, her voice echoing as if to topple the very buildings of the capital. "Selling art is not as good as selling oneself. Selling oneself is not as good as risking one's life. One must keep their life to earn silver next time." This proclamation dispelled the gloom, and they exchanged knowing glances, revealing subtle smiles. Lily pressed his lips together. Suddenly his eyes brightened. "Chung, brother, I ascend to your old rival performing at the market this afternoon? Just right. Amidst the chaos, we can get things done." Cheng Jing laughed heartily, patting Li on the shoulder. "You are full of wicked ideas. So what is your plan?" Lily shifted his gaze and whispered, "The bounty has been posted. Han Luochen must have planted spies. Once we show up, chaos will ensue. Chung, brother, you will draw attention with your duel, and I will assist from the side, using some clever words to throw the enemy into disarray. Miss Su and Yao Jie should avoid the crowd and secretly monitor the back alleys of the market. The three signals from Lu Xiang in last night's letter may come in handy today." Yao Qiniang glared at Li. "You men may have your fun, But do not drag the market girls into this. If trouble arises, Su Jiyue, you take me away first. Do not let me get caught in the middle. Su Jiyue's eyes flashed with determination as she softly replied, do not worry. I will ensure you remain safe. I will scout the east street of the market first. And today will be perfect for setting a trap for us. The four parted ways, the bustling atmosphere of the city swirling in the morning light. A storm was quietly brewing in the liveliest market of the capital. At the market entrance, Cheng Jing stood at the center of the arena. His opponent was an old rogue clad in a tattered blue robe, a scar running diagonally across his face, revealing a sinister smile. Cheng Jing, do you dare show up? I hear that Lord Han has placed a bounty on you. It seems you shall meet your end at my hands today. Cheng Jing shrugged, winking at Li, grinning like a cat that had just stolen fish. Cheng, am full of bravado. I just fear that the blade is too dull to sever the enmities of the martial world. On the sidelines, the crowd began to gather. Li stepped onto the stone steps, shouting, paintings for sale, capturing the heroic deeds of famous figures and the valor of warriors. Today we have two heroes facing off. Why not get recorded? A painting would earn you 5 coins, ensuring good fortune for next year. The old rogue paused, instinctively glancing at Li. Where do you get such audacity? Paint what? Li grinned, eyes squinting with mirth, raising the scroll and swiftly sketching the duel between the dashing rogue and the scarred man. With a quick tongue, he quipped, if either of you pulls off a stunt, I could send this painting to the palace for appraisal. The people of the capital come to witness the spectacle, and you both get to show your faces. What is not to gain? The onlookers were entertained, erupting in laughter and cheers. Seeing the momentum, Cheng Jing grew even more spirited, his sword clashing with his opponent's, all while maintaining a playful banter. Scar brother, if you win, the children of the capital will call you a hero. If you lose, you shall become the subject of my painting, destined to entertain old maidens over tea. The Scar man, not much of a talker, felt flustered by Li's light-hearted taunts, causing his movements to slow. Cheng Jing seized the opportunity, retreating his blade while merely using the wind from his palm to push the opponent back, avoiding any display of excessive prowess. At the west end of the market, Su Jiyue disguised herself as a flower seller. Yao Qiniang carried a cloth bag, chewing on dried bean curd, her eyes scanning the surroundings. Suddenly, whispers reached her ears from behind. Is that the Su family girl from the bounty? A vendor murmured, his gaze unfriendly. Yao Qiniang quickly turned, seizing Su Jiyue's wrist, and grinned. Who are you talking about? My girl's name is Jianghu, and she sells the freshest wild chrysanthemums in the city. Look closely. The Su family's noble lady fled long ago. She wouldn't dare linger here. The vendors, initially intent on approaching, were taken aback by Yao Qiniang's streetwise banter, which made her sound like a local troublemaker. Meanwhile, Su Jiyue maintained her composure as she sold flowers, occasionally flashing a cold smile at passers-by, exuding an air of hardship. The vendors exchanged wary glances, feeling intimidated, and eventually slinked away. Su Jiyue sighed softly. Thank you. If it weren't for your quick thinking, we might have been in trouble. Yao Qiniang kicked the bag of dried bean curd and retorted, saving you is a skill, making money is fate. Today, we must sell more bouquets and then enjoy some corn cake. The two continued toward Luochen. The market was rife with anticipation, and people were caught in the midst of it. In the arena, Cheng Jing battled fiercely with the scarred man, cheers erupting from the crowd. Han Luochen's minions mingled among them, stealthily passing messages within the throng. Li pretended to stroll casually, occasionally disrupting the duel and weaving through the crowd of painters. He weighed the signals behind him. Luochen 3. Suddenly, he noticed a vendor in yellow robes signaling toward the depths of Luochen, and his heart raced. He gestured to Su Jiyue, and they both turned. A commotion erupted in Luochen, where several men in black attempted to forcibly seize Yao Qiniang. Su Jiyue seized the moment, calling out, Qiniang, get back. She raised her hand and hurled a flower basket at the assailants. The black-clad man staggered in pain, momentarily stunned. Yao Qiniang seized the chance to pull out several tattered bags from her cloth sack, shouting, firecrackers for sale. With a swift motion, she tossed the already prepared firecrackers onto the ground near the black-clad men, igniting chaos. Flames erupted, turning Luochen into a swirling mess. The black-clad men were thrown into disarray, while the unsuspecting townsfolk fled in panic. Su Jiyue grabbed Yao Qiniang and dashed out of the alley. heading straight for the market entrance. In the arena, the crowd roared, and Cheng Jing finally claimed victory through his clever tactics, forcing the scarred man to concede. Seizing the moment, Lili called out, "The painting captures the heroes of today as spectacle. Don't miss out. It would be a shame to overlook it." Amidst the turmoil, Han Luochen subordinates were drawn to the arena. Su Jiyue and Yao Qiniang took the opportunity to return to Li's side, panting heavily. Cheng Jing, having secured his victory, wiped the sweat from his brow, his eyes sparkling with exuberance. "Li Gu, with you here, the capital is far from dull." Li chuckled softly, proclaiming that the excitement was yet to come, and with more storms, this group of feather dusters could still stir up a phoenix. Yao Qiniang, glancing sideways at Li, seized him and declared that he owed her 3 win in reward, as she still needed to replenish her flower basket. Su Jiyue gazed at the bustling market, a subtle complexity etched between her brows. After the tempest, the rivers and lakes had gained a few more names that still breathed. The four walked side by side into the afternoon market, where the throng swirled, and the aroma of street food lingered. The wind swayed deep in the willow alley, and in the distance, Han Luochen's silhouette emerged at the fringes of chaos. A new round of conflict was quietly unfurling. Chapter 19. Riddle of the Children's Song. The market had yet to dissipate the echoes of yesterday's storm. The sky was dim, and the mud beneath the oiled paper umbrellas shimmered faintly in the morning light. Yao Qiniang had just returned from the vendors, chewing on a half-piece of flaky pastry. As she wiped the crumbs away with her sleeve, she admonished Su Jiyue, saying that her noble demeanor was too proper to withstand the tumult of the marketplace, and next time, when buying pickled vegetables, she ought to haggle herself. Su Jiyue brushed her fingertips along her sleeve, a shadow of worry lingering in her gaze, and softly replied that the bounty had spread like wildfire throughout the city, and even buying a pickled cucumber could lead a noble girl to be wronged. It seemed that for the time being, they could not walk the righteous path. Li stood beside the stall, fiddling with a small wheel made of willow branches, squinting as if pondering something else. He always had this knack, amidst the chaos of the world, to extract some profound meaning from trifles. Cheng Jing returned with a bag of peanuts, tossing it into Yao Qiniang's arms. "You chatter away, yet you remember to buy pastries. But how could you forget the peanuts?" Yao Qiniang playfully swatted at the bag, feigning bravado. "I'll keep a tab on you. Once this commotion passes, I shall treat you to 3 jean of peanuts." Amid their banter, Su Jiyue suddenly wore a serious expression, as if she had caught the faint sound of children's rhymes wafting through the streets. The fragmented melody squeezed through the crowd, murmuring something indistinct. Li was the first to notice the anomaly. He tilted his ear to listen for a while, smirking as he remarked that in this dilapidated alley of the capital, there were not just debt collectors, but that little tune seemed to sing of calamity. Yao Qiniang, quick to act, pulled Su Jiyue forward. "Let us see." The words of a child are often more persuasive than the proclamations at the city gate. The three pushed through the throng and spotted a small child in a gray robe, perched on the stone steps, singing in a childish voice. "Gold and jade are framed by false accusations. The green lamp awaits spring's return. The old dog beneath the eaves knows the past. Hidden among the willows lies the green mountain." Cheng Jing scratched his head. "Whose nursery rhyme is this? It sounds as if the parents are quarreling." Upon hearing it, Su Jiyue trembled slightly, whispering, "The green lamp without sleep is a name my father once used. And the old dog beneath the eaves, that was the nickname of my family's old servant." Huangbo Li immediately seized upon this clue. He squinted towards a corner where an elderly man leaned on a cane, seemingly watching them silently. "Look at that person," Li whispered. Yao Qiniang smirked. "I told you, in the marketplace, 9 out of 10 rumors are worth listening to. The stories behind people can be quite useful." She stepped forward quickly and smiled at the old man. "Your little one sings quite skillfully. Which family-s tune is this newly composed?" The old man, the worldly wise, feigned ignorance, coughing twice, just singing nonsense, playing while rambling. Yet the alertness in his eyes clearly indicated to Li that this rhyme was not mere happenstance. Cheng Jing leaned in, adopting the familiar tone of the streets. "Old man, I used to sing a version of this nursery rhyme about Jianghu Sen beating Li Si when I was a child, even causing neighbors to lose their silver. Today, singing of a noble girl's grievances surely holds deeper meaning." The old man, besieged by their inquiries, finally succumbed to Yao Qiniang's persistence and whispered, This tune was composed by Huang Bo, the eldest of the Hu family from the Ministry of Revenue. The Hu family has deep ties with the Su household. Not long ago, Huang Bo had the children sing it throughout the southern market, meaning to leave clues and call back old acquaintances. Upon hearing this, Su Jiyue's eyes brimmed with tears. It's Huang Bo. He is still helping me. Lily paced thoughtfully, jesting. It seems that instead of fleeing everywhere, we might as well find a young lad to sing the spring grass song. News travels fast. The phrase hidden among the willows lies the green mountain likely refers to a hiding place. Cheng Jing quickly chimed in. Near the southern gate of the capital, there is a willow alley, and at the end lies Qing Shan Temple. These are all places where past figures of the rivers and lakes would hide from deaths. It's quite discreet. Yao Qiniang clapped her hands. I told you, people don't hide in grand mansions, but in these nooks and crannies. When my family was in debt, my mother would wrap a pancake and send it to the willow alley, hiding coins under the temple gate. Lily quickly organized his thoughts, stringing together the lines of the nursery rhyme. Gold and jade are framed by false accusation speaks of the Su family's injustice. The green lamp awaits, spring's return reflects the longing of the Su family's master. The old dog beneath the eaves knows the past refers to the routes controlled by Huang Bo. Hidden among the willows lies the green mountain indicates the hiding place. Cheng Jing playfully embraced Yao Qiniang's shoulders. Qiniang, your past experiences with debt have truly bestowed upon us a wealth of peculiar insights. These bits of marketplace lore are far more useful than my swordplay. Yao Qiniang retorted without hesitation. What I possess is merely sound financial acumen. When I sold pickles as a child, I could sing the creditors into the temple to burn incense. You scholars wouldn't understand the art of sending messages through song. Su Jiyue managed a faint smile, yet her heart surged with excitement. These seemingly mundane secrets of the market had become the key to her escape. Suddenly, a staggering young man bumped into Cheng Jing, dropping a piece of oiled paper from his arms, covered in indistinct scribbles, inadvertently revealing a few words about the willow alley and the green temple. Cheng Jing, quick of hand, kicked the oiled paper to the ground and whispered, Someone is tailing us. It could be Han Luochen's people. Lily furrowed his brow, calmly analyzing. This indicates that the other party has already caught wind of the nursery rhyme's significance, urging us to act swiftly. If we delay further, the willow alley may not remain safe. Su Jiyue's breath quickened as she whispered. Then we must split up. We cannot all gather in one place. Yao Qiniang immediately interjected. Then I'll head to the alley entrance to scout. Perhaps I can even manage to buy some pickles on credit. Cheng Jing chuckled, shaking his head. I will escort Miss Su through the back roads. Li brother, what will you do? Lily removed the willow wheel from his hand, smiling gently. I will seek out Huang Bo to verify the origin of the nursery rhyme, and on the way, check on the movements at Qing Shan Temple. Let us meet under the willow tree in front of the temple. The three went their separate ways. Yao Qiniang slipped into the alley, using the gestures of a market vendor to gather information, encountering a few old acquaintances and blending into the tavern near Qing Shan Temple, ensuring that news was shared discreetly. With her quick wit, she not only managed to buy pickles on credit, but also discovered that there had been a few unfamiliar faces at the temple over the past 2 nights. Su Jiyue, alongside Cheng Jing, navigated through the small alleys, observing quietly. They noticed that at the alley's end, patrols dispatched by Han Luochen lay in wait. Cheng Jing, utilizing his experience from the old city, adeptly guided Su Jiyue through the back courtyard, successfully entering the small abode of the old servant Huang Bo. Li, relying on his scholarly precision, circled back to the inn to inquire about the old servant's whereabouts. Huang Bo was indeed waiting beneath the willow tree, and upon seeing Li, he whispered, Is the young lady safe? Lily nodded. Thank you, Huang Bo, for your assistance. The nursery rhyme has spread, and we are aware of our hiding place. Now, we must see how to evade Han Luochen's eyes and ears. Huang Bo replied softly, The routes are clear. There will be someone waiting in the back courtyard of Qing Shan Temple. As long as the young lady enters the temple, there will be no major issues. The three reconvened at the small courtyard at the alley's end. Yao Qiniang, with a piece of pickled cucumber in her mouth, waved her hand triumphantly. All set. Without my street smarts, you would all be graying. Cheng Jing chuckled as he handed over the peanuts. Why do you always treat food as your treasure? Su Jiyue softly remarked. With you all by my side on this journey, I find the strength to continue. The willow alley, the green temple, the nursery rhyme. It turns out that the ordinary hum of life is the best protection. Li observed the hurried figures at the alley entrance, and in his heart, found the wisdom of ordinary folk both amusing and lamentable. In this chaotic world of rivers and lakes, it is ultimately the courage and camaraderie of the small people that quietly flourish amidst the bustling life. They walked side by side into the willow alley, the resonant sounds of Qingshan Temple faintly echoing. Amid the turmoil, a gentle light settled within their hearts. The night had yet to fall, the situation ahead still roiling with undercurrents. Yet this nursery rhyme had already set them on a new path. Chapter 20. Encountering an old friend, the market's liveliness had not yet dissipated, with the clamor of voices mingling with the laughter of children and the calls of vendors. Li stood beside the stall, his fingertips deftly manipulating a small wheel he had crafted from bamboo skewers, while his gaze discreetly scanned the candy-painting vendor across the way. Su Jiyue, clad in simple attire and partially obscured by a gauzy hat, concealed her beauty beneath the grime of the marketplace. She lowered her head, wiping the bun in her hand with a cloth, a hint of worry glimmering in her eyes. Beside her, Yao Qiniang, burdened with numerous packages, exclaimed that Miss Su only ate vegetable dumplings, which could not compare to her delectable braised pig's trotters, and nudged Li with her elbow. Just then, Cheng Jing ambled into the alley, casually holding a paper bag filled with food, and nonchalantly tossed the assorted items on the ground, exhaling. Only 2 copper coins left. Who wants some willow bud cakes? Before he could finish his sentence, a sudden dull pain struck the back of his neck as a large hand clasped his shoulder. Cheng Xiaolang, it's been years, yet your courage hasn't grown, though your hands have become swifter, teased a voice, ringing loud like a bronze bell, laced with intentional mockery. In an instant, the onlookers and vendors were captivated by the unexpected commotion. Cheng Jing's body stiffened, and he instinctively retaliated, launching quick jabs, only to find his assailant donned in azure attire, exuding the imposing presence of a local tough. You, the brash ruffian of the tavern, cease your tormenting. Cheng Jing's expression flickered between shock and annoyance, yet his hand showed no mercy as he gripped the tough's hand until it creaked. The exchange between them was playful and feigned, yet the observers were left in a daze. Yao Qiniang, grinning widely, urged them to continue, hoping they might even smash the new vendor's table in the process. My dear lady, that table is not to be harmed, the tough chuckled, lightly pushing back against Cheng Jing, then turned to Yao Qiniang and bowed slightly. May I inquire if you are the Yao family? Taken aback, Yao Qiniang waved her hand, declaring that those of the Yao surname only engaged in commerce, not brawls. A flicker of surprise crossed Su Jiyue's eyes as she softly asked Li, do you recognize this man? Keeping an ear out for any observers, Li smiled subtly and replied, in days past, Cheng Jing roamed the underworld, renowned for standing up for the downtrodden, claiming he would subdue the 4 fiends of Kaifeng. This man must be one of them. With this revelation, Cheng Jing steadied himself and raised an eyebrow at the tough. Have you forsaken the underworld to peddle oil cakes in the capital? Who claims I am merely selling oil cakes? The tough, known as Hu Yuan, pounded his chest and looked down at the scattered pastries on the ground with a wry smile. Not long ago, I was embroiled in a court case. And here I am, wandering the marketplace seeking my old friends. A sudden thought struck Li. A person from the underworld entangled in court matters might tie into the mystery of the Su family's past. He seized the opportunity to present a friendly smile. Since you and Cheng are old acquaintances, have you heard any news or unusual movements concerning the Su residents lately? Hu Yuan wiped his mouth with his sleeve, glanced around, and lowered his voice. Interestingly, the atmosphere in the capital has grown tense. Just the other day, I encountered an elderly steward in South Street who seemed to be searching for someone, frequently mentioning loyal servants of the Su family. Subsequently, a person claiming to be an inspector came to inquire about me, yet he was cautious, and the old man seemed to have unspoken matters. Su Jiyue's heart raced at this revelation. Could it be that her father's former subordinates were providing clandestine assistance? Yao Qiniang's eyes sparkled with excitement. Miss Su, do you remember if there was a steward by the surname of Guan in your library? Should we investigate South Street? Lili Nudasruli. With a hiding place now revealed and an insider to follow, we can proceed with the current. However, this matter must be handled discreetly. Drawing too much attention would risk alerting Han Luochen's spies. Cheng Jing regarded Hu Yuan with curiosity if you truly possess such abilities, why not accompany us on this venture? It will surely be lively. Hu Jiyue dramatically flicked his garments and yawned towards the sky. When my friends are in trouble, I shall certainly lend my assistance. No matter how chaotic the capital may become, it cannot overshadow the courage of the 4 fiends of 8 righteousness. As the crowd began to disperse, Li Li seized the moment to quietly guide Su Jiyue into the deeper alleys of the long street. The alley was damp and winding, with moss adorning the base of the walls, and the calls of the street vendors vanished around the corner. Do you still remember that nursery rhyme? Su Jiyue, Su Jiyue. I remember the plum blossoms fall at the house by the roadside. Which family locks the morning glow in an empty pavilion? The text previously mentioned that the morning glow was likely referring to the hidden well in the back alley of the old residence. As Li Li pondered, his gaze fell upon 2 elderly men ahead who were bowed and silent. Their simple attire and gray hair identified them as Guanzhong Hai, the old servant of the Su family. Water glimmered in Su Jiyue's eyes. Her lips quivered, yet she could not summon the words. Li Li Zhen Li Spuka Unkla Wan. May we have a word? Miss Jiyue has been concerned for her former master, day and night, he replied, kneeling and bowing deeply, tears streaming down his face. May heaven protect you. Young lady, I have finally awaited your safe return. Although the Su family has fallen, the truth can be proven. On that day, the household was entrapped by poison, and the records of the Ministry of Justice were swapped. The mastermind remains hidden. Additionally, a ledger is concealed in the stone trough of the hidden well in the back alley. Be wary of Han spies. At that moment, Yao Qiniang, along with Hu Jiyue and Cheng Jing, was investigating the dark signals of South Street when a group of officers suddenly appeared at the alley's mouth. Hu Jiyue leaned in close and whispered, "Do not move. They are all under Han Luochen, the leading scholarly figure. I recognize him. He was once a servant of the Han family, and now specializes in extorting the vulnerable." Cheng Jing raised an eyebrow, twirling his folding fan, and jovially approached. "Gentlemen, would you like to purchase some pastries and perhaps inquire about directions? Though our stall is modest, it is brimming with warmth." Yao Qiniang immediately feigned madness, stepping forward to insist on selling pigs' trotters to the officers. Hu Jiyue raised his voice, mimicking a beggar's shout, effectively dispersing the group. Amidst the chaos, Li Li and Su Jiyue hurriedly retrieved the ledger, while Guanzhong Hai quietly slipped into the depths of the marketplace. Once reunited, Cheng Jing waved the ledger, exclaiming, "This time, we have pried a tooth from Han Luochen. With this in hand, let's see how he dares to act." Yao Qiniang sighed. "Petty skirmishes are dull. Next time, take me to collect the magistrate's branding iron and see if he dares to scorch my pig's trotters." Laughter erupted among the group. Yet Li Li suddenly fell silent, carefully tucking the ledger away. Outside, Han Luochen's hounds prowled like wolves, while inside, astute old friends from the underworld lent their aid. They were unknowingly climbing to greater heights amidst the tumult. As dusk deepened, the marketplace remained vibrant with life, and their silhouettes gradually merged into the glowing horizon at the end of the long street. Before the night fully enveloped them, Jiyue softly remarked, "With the resurgence of past matters, the storm may be drawing closer." Li Li smiled gently. "When the winds rise on the road, we may at least have a few clouds to accompany us." Chapter 21. The ledger's fright night had draped its inky cloak over the streets of the capital. Lanterns swaying at the eaves cast a dim, golden glow, elongating the figures of Li Li and his companions. The recent peril at the marketplace had yet to dissipate. Su Jiyue's fingers still trembled slightly as she clutched the ledger, wrapped in oilcloth and pressed close to her chest, its weight bearing the grievances of the Su family and the precarious fate of them all. Hu Jiyue strode ahead, his keen eyes scanning the shadowy alleys. Remnants of pastry crumbs still clinging to his azure attire from their earlier commotion with the officers. He patted the short axe at his waist with a rough voice. "With me here, even if Han Luochen sends his 3-headed, 6-armed spies, they must first inquire if my axe consents." Cheng Jing, shaking his folding fan beside him, concealed a smile behind it, casting a sidelong glance. "Do not flaunt your brute courage. If it weren't for Yao Qiniang and me feigning madness to distract the officers, your loud voice would have surely drawn them in." Yao Qiniang, burdened with her packages and still clutching unsold pig's trotters, immediately shot him a glare. "Cheng Xiaozi, do not embellish your contributions. If I hadn't yanked that leading officer's sleeve and stuffed 2 trotters in his hands, could he have left so easily? Furthermore, if a real brawl ensued, my kitchen knife is no mere decoration. As they exchanged banter, the atmosphere lightened, yet Lili remained quiet, his eyes vigilantly scanning their surroundings. He was acutely aware of Han Luochen's meticulous mind and ruthless methods. The resurfacing of the Su family's old ledger would surely provoke a desperate response from him. Every dark alley in the capital could be harboring a lethal threat. First, we must find a safe place to rest. Then we can examine the ledger's contents. Lili spoke in a steady voice, effectively quieting the others. Having lost track of us, Han Luochen's men will surely be searching the city. We must avoid ordinary inns. Su Jiyue suddenly had a flash of inspiration. I know a place. The dilapidated temple in the southern part of the city, where my brothers and I often sought refuge in the past. It's quite remote, and the officials would not easily investigate it. There were no objections from the group as they followed Su Jiyue into a narrow and cramped alley. The alley was devoid of light, and the gravel underfoot was painfully sharp, while the moss at the base of the walls dampened their clothing. A cold wind swept through the alley, carrying a chilling bite. Su Jiyue instinctively wrapped her clothing tighter around herself, feeling the sharp edges of the ledger press against her heart, filling her with both anxiety and determination. After walking for about the duration of 2 incense sticks, a rundown mountain temple appeared before them. The temple door was askew, the plaque long fallen, and the courtyard overgrown with weeds. The statue inside was missing its head and limbs, covered in dust and spider webs, while the main hall remained relatively intact, providing shelter from the wind and rain. You can all make do here for one night, Su Jiyue said as he pushed open the rotting door. A musty odor rushed out to greet them. He picked up a dry twig and ignited a pile of kindling in the corner, and as the fire blazed to life, its warm glow instantly dispelled the chill within the hall. The group gathered around the fire, and Su Jiyue carefully retrieved the oilcloth bundle from her arms, unwrapping it layer by layer. The yellowed shin paper was exposed to the firelight, its edges worn and brittle, filled with dents. Small characters that recorded years of financial transactions between various factions. Among them, many entries clearly indicated collusion between the Han family and treacherous officials in the court, even detailing embezzlement of military funds and the framing of loyal subjects. Cheng Jing leaned closer to examine the ledger, his expression growing serious as he snapped his folding fan shut. Goodness, this scoundrel Han Luochen has embezzled so much silver and even dares to collude with foreign enemies. The Su family's downfall in his hands is truly more unjust than Do-e. Yao Qiniang craned her neck to read a few lines, angered enough to slap her thigh. Such a treacherous villain deserves to be executed by 1,000 cuts. Miss Su, with this ledger, you will surely clear your parents' names. Su Jiyue's fingertips grazed the familiar handwriting of her father on the ledger, her eyes reddening as tears silently fell. The Su family had once been harmonious, with her father loyal and upright, and her mother gentle and virtuous. Yet in a single night their family was shattered. Now, they finally held the hope of avenging their grievances, but this hope came with even more perilous storms. Lili took the ledger, examining it closely by the firelight, his brow furrowing deeper by the moment. The content of the ledger was detailed enough to bring down Han Luochen. But the tangled web of involved powers included not only court officials, but also factions from the martial world. If they recklessly handed over the ledger, they would not only fail to take revenge, but would also bring disaster upon themselves. This ledger cannot be shown lightly, Lili concluded, his tone grave. Han Luochen has deep roots in the court and numerous informants. With no weapons or power, relying solely on this ledger will not shake him. It might instead provoke him to act first and eliminate us. Su Jiyue clenched his fists and slammed them on the ground. What shall we do then? Shall we just watch this scoundrel roam free? I cannot swallow this indignation. Certainly not, Lili replied, his gaze calm as he surveyed the group. The ledger is a sharp weapon, but we cannot use it now. We must first find a trusted high-ranking official in the court to leverage their power for a decisive blow. However, with Han Luochen's minions spread throughout the court, finding an honest and outspoken person is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. At that moment, a faint sound of footsteps suddenly echoed from outside the hall, so soft, yet unusually clear in the stillness of the night. Lili immediately rose, gesturing for the others to be silent, and stealthily pressed himself against the door. concealing a silver needle in his palm. Cheng Jing also dropped his casual demeanor, holding his fan protectively across his chest, while Yao Qiniang picked up a wooden stick from the corner. Hu Dian gripped a short axe tightly, and everyone held their breath, focusing on the sounds outside. The footsteps paused outside the hall, and after a moment a low voice called out, "Friends inside, there is no need to be alarmed. I come with no ill intent. Only in search of the Su family ledger. Is it one of Han Luocheng's people?" Hu Dian whispered, his eyes wide with fury, preparing to rush out. Lili restrained him, his voice low and serious. "This is not an official. The aura is different. It resembles that of a martial expert." He cautiously opened the door a crack, using the moonlight to discern the figure outside. The man was dressed in black, with a black veil obscuring his face, revealing only a pair of sharp eyes. He was tall and exuded a chilling presence, a long sword hanging at his waist, its sheath simple yet extraordinary. "Who are you? How did you know we were here?" Lili questioned coldly, ever wary of a potential ambush. The man in black raised his hand, signaling that he bore no weapons. His voice calm. "I am Mu Changxi, not a member of Han Luocheng's faction, but someone with a past connection to Lord Su, intent on seeking justice for the Su family. Earlier, I saw you all avoiding the officials on South Street and followed Master Wan's trail to find this place." Upon hearing the title Lord Su, Su Jiyue's heart stirred, and she stepped behind Li, softly asking, "Do you truly know my father?" Mu Changxi turned to look at her, his gaze softening. "Lord Su saved my life in the past, and I have never forgotten this kindness. For years, I have quietly investigated the old case of the Su family, and am well aware of Han Luocheng's wolfish ambitions, as well as the existence of that ledger. Lili Ramainat Bijilan. How can we trust you with nothing to substantiate your claims?" Mu Changxi produced a jade pendant from his robes and handed it over. The pendant was entirely white, engraved with the character for Su, the exclusive token of the Su family, which Lord Su often carried. Su Jiyue accepted the pendant, her fingers trembling. She recognized it as her father's most cherished possession, something only a trusted kin would bestow upon another. "This is truly my father's jade pendant," she choked, her wariness dissipating significantly. Lili examined the pendant, confirming its authenticity before slightly relaxing his guard and stepping aside to let Mu Changxi enter. "Brother Mu, please come in." As Mu Changxi stepped into the hall, his gaze swept over the ledger by the fire, his expression shifting slightly. He then clasped his hands in greeting. "It is indeed not easy for you to obtain this ledger. But do you know that shortly after you left the hidden well, Master Wan was captured by Han Luocheng's men?" "What?" Su Jiyue's face turned pale, and she stumbled back a step. "Master Wan, he deliberately led the scouts away to protect you, and was unfortunately seized," Mu Changxi said gravely. "Han Luochen is ruthless, with Master Guan in his clutches. He is likely facing dire consequences. Moreover, he already knows the ledger is in your possession, and now all the informants in the city are searching for you. This dilapidated temple is no longer safe." At his words, the expressions of the group changed dramatically. The earlier joy was instantly replaced by panic. With Master Guan captured and the ledger exposed, they felt like startled birds, trapped in a desperate situation. Yao Qiniang exclaimed, "What should we do now? Should we flee?" Cheng Jing frowned tightly. "We might escape for a moment, but we cannot run forever. Han Luocheng's men are spread throughout the capital. Where can we go?" Hu Dayuan shouted angrily, "Then let's fight it out. My life for Han Luocheng's scoundrel life is worth it." Lili clutched the ledger firmly, his gaze resolute as he turned to Mu Changxi. "Brother Mu, since you've been investigating this case, you must have a countermeasure. With Master Guan captured and the ledger exposed, please guide us." Mu Changxi knelt down, sketching a map of the capital in the dirt. He pointed to a location. "Han Luocheng has imprisoned Master Guan at the Black Wind stronghold on the outskirts of the city. It is a place where he privately trains assassins, heavily guarded, but not without vulnerabilities. We will go tonight to rescue him and, in the process, gather intelligence on Han Luocheng's hidden forces." "Rescue him?" Hu Dayuan's eyes lit up. "Good. I excel at storming strongholds." Yet the Black Wind stronghold was fraught with danger, and with only 5 of them, Su Jiyue was deeply concerned. She did not wish to put anyone else in peril because of the Su family's troubles. Lili looked at Jiyue and spoke gently. "Jiyue, Master Guan was captured to save us. We cannot abandon him. With the ledger in hand, Master Guan is our witness. We cannot afford to lose either. We must go to the Black Wind stronghold." Cheng Jing snapped his fan shut. "Lili is right. We as children of the martial world, cannot be cowards. Even if Han Luochen is in a den of dragons and tigers, we must venture forth. Yao Qiniang tightened her grip on the wooden stick. Count me in. I want to see just how formidable Han Luochen's stronghold is. Seeing the determination in everyone's eyes, Mu Changxi's gaze flickered with approval. You all are of noble character. I admire you. In the stillness of the night, we stealthily infiltrated the Heifeng Zhai. Familiar with its defenses, I could guide you in evading the hidden sentries. Our priority was to locate Guanbo and subsequently devise an escape plan. The crackling of the campfire illuminated the resolute faces of our companions. As the darkness deepened, a chilling wind swept through the dilapidated temple, laden with an oppressive aura. A rescue mission, pivotal to life and death, and the unearthing of buried grievances, was about to unfold at the outskirts of Heifeng Zhai. Li Li carefully rewrapped the ledger, concealing it in the most secretive part of his attire, while gathering strength in his palm. He understood that from the moment they acquired the ledger, retreat was no longer an option. In the tumultuous journey through the Jianghu, one must confront challenges head-on to dispel the fog of uncertainty, restoring the Su family's honor and delivering justice to the realm. Su Jiyue gazed at the flickering flames, her heart filled with trepidation, yet emboldened by the presence of her steadfast companions. She gently grasped Li Li's sleeve and whispered, "With you by my side, I fear nothing." Li Li turned to her, offering a soft smile, his gaze tender yet resolute. "Rest assured, I will protect you and ensure Guanbo's safe return." Mu Changxi observed the two, a flicker of emotion passing through his eyes before he turned his gaze to the inky darkness outside the temple. "The hour is upon us. Let us prepare to depart." The night at Heifeng Zhai is anything but tranquil. The group rose, brushing off the dust, gripping their weapons tightly. The campfire within the crumbling temple gradually dimmed, eventually reduced to mere sparks, as their silhouettes vanished into the vastness of night, resolutely advancing towards the Heifeng Zhai. Chapter 22. The night raid on Heifeng Zhai. Leading the way, Mu Changxi guided the group through the shadows, opting for desolate paths towards the outskirts. The moonlight was mostly obscured by clouds, and the surrounding vegetation appeared forlorn, with the sounds of insects tinged with an air of foreboding. Su Jiyue hefted a short axe, his steps heavy yet steady. In a subdued tone, he inquired, "Brother Mu, how many of Han Luochen's assassins do you think are concealed within Heifeng Zhai?" Without glancing back, Mu Changxi replied, "At the very least, 30 to 40, each one a desperate outlaw. The stronghold is riddled with traps and hidden sentries. A single misstep could lead to irretrievable doom." Cheng Jing waved his folding fan, the tip gently tapping a shadow ahead. "No matter how intricate the traps, they are vulnerable to chaos. I will draw the sentries to the east. Then, you can engage them head-on. What do you think?" Su Jiyue grinned widely. "That suits me perfectly. Let us create a ruckus." Yao Qiniang clutched a conveniently found dagger, murmuring, "I will guard Su girl. Anyone who approaches, I shall strike." Su Jiyue gently responded, "Yao Qiniang, I can defend myself. There's no need to protect me at every turn. Lidi valkid beside her, softly advising. Stay close behind me, and do not stray from my sight. Brother Mu will lead the way. We head straight for the dungeon." Before long, a dark silhouette of the stronghold's walls emerged from a distant ravine, torches flickering atop the walls as figures patrolled, vigilance palpable. Mu Changxi halted, pointing toward the western side of the wall. "That area is the drainage outlet. I have tampered with the barbed wire. We can slip through directly to the rear of the dungeon." Lili Nudda. Cheng Jing, Hudin, create a distraction at the east gate in 15 minutes, the noisier, the better, to draw the patrolling guard away. Cheng Jing clasped his hands. "Rest assured, it will be livelier than a marketplace performance." Su Jiyue pounded his chest. "Watch me." The two stealthily retreated into the brush, while Mu Changxi led the remaining trio to the western drainage outlet. The barbed wire was indeed loose, and with a gentle tug, Mu Changxi opened a gap, urging them to hurry. As Su Jiyue crawled through the wire, her clothing snagged on a hook, causing her to inhale sharply. Lili promptly turned back to assist her, their fingertips brushing momentarily. "Be careful," he whispered. Su Jiyue's cheeks flushed slightly. Upon entering the stronghold, they heard shouts of anger and the sound of overturned furniture from the east gate. "It has begun." Mu Changxi's gaze sharpened. "They have engaged. We must move swiftly." The trio dashed along the wall's base, evading several patrols, and soon arrived at a stone building, where two assassins stood guard with drawn blades. Mu Changxi signaled for silence. Swiftly striking like an arrow, both guards fell without a sound. Yao Qiniang gasped, "What remarkable speed!" Mu Changxi pushed open the stone door. "This is the dungeon. Guanbo should be at the innermost chamber." The dungeon was dark and damp, a musty odor pervading the air, with a faint sound of chains dragging. In the deepest cell, Guan Zhonghai was shackled to a stone pillar, his clothing tattered and blood at the corner of his mouth. "Guanbo!" Su Jiyue exclaimed involuntarily. Guan Zhonghai lifted his weary gaze, his dim eyes brightening. "Miss, why have you come? You must leave at once. This place is perilous. Han Luochen has long set a trap." Li's Farzang. A trap? Before he could finish, the echo of footsteps thundered from the dungeon entrance. Lights flaring as a group of black-clad assassins surged in. The leader, a man with a pale face and no beard, bore a sinister gaze. It was the ruffian from Nanjia. "Miss Su, Mr. Li, how delightful to see you. My master anticipated your arrival, and has been awaiting you." Mu Changxi drew his sword before him. "You take Guanbo away first. I will hold them off." The voices of Su Jiyue and Cheng Jing rang out from outside. "Damn it. We've fallen into a trap. Brothers, let us break through." Li helped Guan Zhonghai to his feet, instructing Yao Qiniang. "Support Guanbo and stay close to Su Jiyue. I will clear the way." With a flick of his palm, silver needles shot forth, dropping two assassins to the ground. Su Jiyue unsheathed her dagger, positioning herself protectively beside Guan Zhonghai, her expression calm. "If we are to escape, we do so together." The pale-faced man scoffed. "Escape? Not a single one of you will leave here alive. Seize them." The assassins surged forward, the clashing of blades ringing harshly. Mu Changxi unsheathed his sword, its cold gleam flashing as he swiftly dispatched three foes. "Li, take them out through the rear window. I can hold them here." Cheng Jing and Su Jiyue charged into the dungeon. Su Jiyue swung his axe, forcing back a group of enemies. "Brother Mu, I'm here to assist you." Cheng Jing struck at several foes' pressure points with his fan. "If we don't leave now, we truly won't escape." Guan Zhonghai urged, "Miss, do not worry about this old servant. Take the ledger and flee. As long as the ledger is safe, the Su family has hope." "No." Su Jiyue's eyes brimmed with tears. "I cannot abandon you again." Li made a swift decision. "We leave together. Brother Mu, retreat." Mu Changxi retracted his sword, turning to protect them. "Go." The group fought and retreated, bursting through the rear window of the dungeon, only to find themselves surrounded outside by a multitude of foes. With Han Luochen's loyalists stationed at the forefront, the pale-faced man emerged, laughing wickedly. "Did you think you could escape through the back window? You are all merely birds in a cage." Li scanned the area, shielding Su Jiyue behind him, his expression solemn. "What Han Luochen desires is merely the ledger. If you let them go, I will surrender the ledger." "Li." Su Jiyue grasped his arm. "No." Su Jiyue shouted, "If we are to die, we die together." Cheng Jing closed his fan. "In this life, I despise those who abandon their friends to save themselves." Yao Qiniang tightened her grip on her dagger. "I will not leave." Guan Zhonghai trembled. "This old servant is willing to die to ensure the miss's safety." Mu Changxi pointed his sword at the ground, speaking with calm conviction. "Since I am here, I did not intend to leave alone." The pale-faced man sneered. "How noble, but unfortunately, you shall all perish today. Attack!" Torches illuminated the night sky, swords clashed, and the encroaching danger loomed closer. Li retrieved the ledger from his bosom, clutching it tightly, his gaze sweeping over his companions. Not a single one faltered. Suddenly, he smiled gently at Su Jiyue, whispering, "You see, we are not alone in this fight." Su Jiyue looked at him, tears glistening yet accompanied by a smile. "Indeed, with you all here, I fear nothing." Su Jiyue raised his axe, bellowing, "If we are to die, we'll take a few with us." Cheng Jing lifted his fan. "In this tumultuous Jianghu, to die alongside all of you is worth it." Li Zayas Shutarpanat. Charge out. Just as they prepared for a desperate final stand, a thunderous sound of galloping hooves resonated from afar, accompanied by the blaring of horns. As a large contingent of troops surged from both sides of the mountain path, clad in armor and bearing banners with authority. The pale-faced man's expression shifted abruptly. "Whose men are these?" Li too was momentarily taken aback as he beheld a general in armor, brandishing a spear, proclaiming loudly, by imperial decree, "We are here to seize Heifengjai." All traitors and accomplices are to be captured. Mu Changxi exhaled in relief, whispering, "They are our allies." The pale-faced man, a mix of shock and fury, retorted, "Impossible." Lord Han did not inform. The general sneered, "Han Luochen? He cannot even safeguard himself." Government soldiers surged in like a tide, causing the assassins to scatter in disarray. The pale-faced man attempted to flee, but Mu Changxi's sword flew forth, striking his shoulder and pinning him to the ground. Li Li and the others stood in stunned silence, witnessing the sudden reversal of fortune, rendered momentarily speechless. Mu Changxi turned around and clasped his hands in apology, saying, "I must confess that I am not merely a wanderer of the Jianghu. I am a secret investigator from the Yushertai, specifically assigned to investigate the corruption and rebellion of Han Luochen." The crowd was taken aback. Su Jiyue exclaimed in astonishment. "So what you said earlier about my father saving you was entirely true." Mu Changxi nodded. The rescue was personal, while the investigation is public. I owe Su Darren an explanation on both accounts. Hu Deyuan scratched his head in disbelief. "Goodness, all this time, you are an official." Cheng Jing chuckled. "No wonder your skills are so remarkable. You are indeed of the Imperial Secret Investigation rank." The general stepped forward, bowing to everyone. "Miss Su, young Master Li, I apologize for the trouble you have endured. The Emperor has ordered a thorough investigation into the old cases of the Su residents and will immediately apprehend Han Luochen. You are now safe." Guan Zhonghai was moved to tears, kneeling and bowing his head. "Heaven has eyes. Heaven has eyes." Su Jiyue felt her strength wane, and Li quickly supported her. All the tension in their nerves relaxed at that moment, and the exhaustion and joy of surviving the ordeal surged within them. Yao Qiniang patted her chest. "I was so frightened. I thought we would have to sacrifice the braised pig trotters here." Cheng Jing teased, "Your pig trotters. Even the king of hell would not dare accept." Laughter erupted among the crowd, echoing above the Haifeng stronghold. Li gazed at Su Jiyue, who was tightly clutching the account book, and softly remarked, "The injustice will soon be rectified." Jiyue looked up, her eyes misty, but her smile gentle. "Yes, we have achieved it." Chapter 23. Turmoil in the imperial court as a group returned to the capital with the officials. Dawn had just begun to break. The morning light pierced through the clouds, illuminating the long street. The night of terror felt like it had merely been a harrowing dream. The general personally escorted everyone to a discreet residence, while Mu Changxi departed to report to the palace. In the courtyard by a stone table, Su Jiyue gently spread open the account book, her fingertips brushing over the pages, her voice trembling slightly. "I never expected that everything would change overnight." Guan Zhonghai, seated nearby, sipped hot tea and sighed. "If it weren't for young Master Mu's covert arrangements, we would have faced dire consequences this time." Yao Qiniang nibbled on the snack she had just purchased, mumbling, "That fellow looks cold and aloof, but I didn't expect him to be quite reliable. If he becomes an official, he should take good care of my business." Cheng Jing shook his folding fan. "Your pig trotter's business doesn't need his help. You're the loudest on the entire street." Hu Dun burst into laughter. "Yao Qiniang's pig trotters are a marvel of the Jianghu. If Han Luochen had tasted them, perhaps he would have hesitated to harm you." Li raised his teacup, his expression calm. "Han Luochen's foundation is deep. Even if the Emperor orders a thorough investigation, he will not easily fall. This account book is merely the beginning. There will be hard battles ahead." Su Jiyue nodded. "I understand. After waiting for so many years, I do not mind waiting a few more days." Just then, Mu Changxi pushed the door open, his expression slightly grave. "Brother Mu, what is the situation?" Li rose immediately. Mu Changxi sat down and drank the tea in one gulp. The Emperor was furious upon seeing the account book and immediately ordered the arrest of Han Luochen. However, he has many supporters in the court, and several officials have stepped forward to defend him. For the time being, we cannot take action against him. Hu Deyuan slammed the table. These treacherous officials. Are they going to just stand by and watch him evade justice? Cheng Jing suppressed his smile. This was to be expected. Han Luochen has woven a vast web after years of scheming. Pulling one thread affects the entire structure. Su Jiyue, Miss Su. The Emperor wishes to meet you personally to inquire about the events surrounding the incident in the Su residence. Su Jiyue stiffened. The Emperor wants to see me? Yes. Mu Changxi affirmed. The Emperor intends to exonerate the Su family, but needs you to testify in person and identify Han Luochen. Guan Zhonghai hurriedly interjected. Miss, you must not. The court is fraught with danger. Han Luochen has supporters everywhere. What if I must go? Su Jiyue interrupted him, her gaze firm. For the sake of the Su family's honor, and for those who have died unjustly, I cannot back down. Lily looked at her, softly saying, I will accompany you. Jiyue turned to him, their eyes meeting, warmth blossoming within her heart. All right. On the following day, during the morning court session, civil and military officials lined both sides of the Jinwan Hall, the atmosphere tense. Clad in plain attire, Su Jiyue was led into the grand hall by a eunuch. Kneeling on the ground with a clear voice, I, Su Jiyue, pay my respects to your majesty. Long live the emperor. Upon the dragon throne, the emperor's expression was stern. Rise. Su Jiyue, you accuse Han Luochen of framing loyal officials, plotting rebellion, and corruption. Do you have evidence? Su Jiyue raised the account book high. I possess the Su family account book as evidence, which record Han Luochen's collusion with traitors, embezzlement of military funds, and the framing of my entire family. The eunuch presented the account book to the emperor, who perused it for a moment, his expression growing increasingly somber. Han Luochen stepped forward, clad in official robes. His demeanor calm as he bowed. Your Majesty, I am wronged. This account book is forged. The daughter of the Su family harbors resentment and is deliberately framing me. Framing? Su Jiyue raised her gaze, fixing her eyes on Han Luochen. Lord Han, during a banquet at my residence. It was only after you left that my entire family was poisoned. How can you claim this matter has nothing to do with you? Han Luochen sneered. One can eat recklessly but cannot speak carelessly. The incident at the Su residence is known throughout the realm. I serve alongside Su Darren in the court and was deeply pained by the event. How can you slander me? I slander you? Su Jiyue's voice trembled but remained resolute. The account book hidden in the well was written by my father himself. Many old officials in the court recognized his handwriting. At this moment, several upright old officials stepped forward. Your Majesty, we recognize Su Darren's handwriting. This account book is indeed genuine. Han Luochen's expression changed slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. Handwriting can also be forged. Moreover, Su Darren committed suicide out of guilt, and the world has determined this. How can a lone girl overturn the verdict after so many years? Guilt-driven suicide? Mu Changxi stepped forward, holding a scroll of documents. Your Majesty, I have evidence. Su Darren did not commit suicide, but was silenced by Han Luochen's minions. The records of the Ministry of Justice have already been tampered with. Han Luochen quoted angrily. Mu Changxi, you speak nonsense. Am I speaking nonsense? Just ask the jailer who handled the case back then. Mu Changxi replied calmly. I have already found the jailer, and he is willing to testify. Han Luochen's supporters surged forward, arguing amongst themselves, and the grand hall fell into chaos. The emperor slammed the table, shouting, Enough! Han Luochen, I command you to step down temporarily while the three departments conduct a hearing to ascertain the truth. If there is indeed injustice, I will restore your name. If evidence of guilt is conclusive, I will not be lenient. Han Luochen bowed, a glint of malice flashing in his eyes. I obey your command. After the court session, the group exited the palace. The sunlight was blinding, and Su Jiyue let out a small sigh of relief. Lily walked beside her. Do not be afraid. This is only the first step. I'm not afraid, Jiyue softly replied. With all of you here and the emperor supporting us, I fear nothing. Cheng Jing stretched lazily. Goodness, this is even more exhausting than fighting. These officials speak in circles, and it gives me a headache. Yao Qiniang pouted. If it were up to me, I'd just drag them out and behead them. It would be much simpler. Hu Daiyuan nodded in agreement. Exactly. One swift stroke and it's done. Mu Changxi chuckled. With the law of the land in place, how can we be so rash? However, rest assured, with solid evidence, Han Luochen cannot turn the tide. Guan Zhonghai sighed. We have waited too long for this day. Su Jiyue supported Guan Bo, tears in her eyes. Guan Bo, soon, everything will come to an end. Lily gazed at the distant horizon and softly remarked, The Jianghu is vast, and the court is perilous. Our journey against the tide must ultimately reach its conclusion. Mu Changxi turned to him. Brotherly, what are your plans once the case is resolved? Lily turned to Su Jiyue, a subtle smile gracing his lips. To take her away from the capital, find a quiet place, and no longer concern ourselves with the Jianghu or the court. Jiyue's cheeks flushed as she lowered her head, unable to suppress her smile. Cheng Jing teased, That's great. Just remember to invite us to the wedding feast. Yao Qiniang smacked him. You talk too much. But I will definitely attend the wedding. Just Just prepare plenty of braised pig trotters. Su Jiyue laughed heartily. I will go too. We won't return until we are drunk. The laughter rang out, dispelling the gloom of recent days. Yet, unbeknownst to them, in the shadows of a street corner, a cold gaze fixed upon them, filled with resentment and murderous intent. Though Han Luochen had been stripped of his position, he did not sit idly by. A more significant storm was quietly brewing in the shadows. Chapter 24. Undercurrents resurged. The three departments held hearings for several consecutive days, with Han Luochen's supporters fighting desperately to protect him, causing the case to remain at a stalemate. The capital appeared calm on the surface, yet beneath lay turbulent undercurrents and whispers of danger. One afternoon, while the group was discussing the case in the courtyard, Mu Changxi rushed in, his expression grave. There has been an incident. Lily stood up. What happened? The prison guard who handled the Su residence case was silenced. Mu Changxi's tone was somber. He died at home, leaving no trace behind. Su Jiyue's complexion paled. How could this happen? Guan Zhonghai pounded his chest in despair. It must be Han Luocheng's doing. He intends to eradicate all evidence. Yao Qiniang exclaimed angrily. This scoundrel has already been dismissed. How dare he act so brazenly? Cheng Jing folded his fan. He is merely a corner dog, desperate. With the guard dead and unable to testify, he can turn against us. Su Jiyue clenched his fists. I will go and deal with him right now. Do not act recklessly. Lily stopped him, stating that if they killed him now, it would only provide grounds for accusations against them. Mu Changxi nodded. Brother Li is right. Han Luochen wants to provoke us into taking action. We must not fall into his trap. Su Jiyue bit her lip, her eyes reddening. Are we to watch him roam free? Will my parents' grievances remain forever unavenged? Lily took her hand, speaking softly. That will not happen. The guard may be dead, but there are other pieces of evidence. What other evidence? Jiyue looked up. Her eyes filled with helplessness. The files were swapped, witnesses were killed, and their accounts were claimed to be forged. Mu Changxi fell silent for a moment and remarked, there is one person who might still testify. Everyone turned to him. Who? Han Luochen's personal steward. Mu Changxi continued. He has served Han Luochen for many years and knows many secrets. However, this individual is fiercely loyal and difficult to sway. Cheng Jing raised an eyebrow. If hard methods do not work, we shall employ softer ones. If those fail, we may resort to some underhanded tactics. Lily pondered. We cannot force him. If he is coerced into betraying Han Luochen, he will claim we threatened him, rendering his testimony invalid. Then what shall we do? Yao Qiniang urged. We cannot simply wait for that villain to confess. At that moment, a gentle knock came from outside. Mu Changxi asked warily, Who is it? A deep voice responded, I seek an audience with Lord Mu. I have evidence of Han Luochen's crimes. Everyone was taken aback as Mu Changxi opened the door to see an elderly man in blue standing there, visibly anxious. It was Han Luochen's personal steward. You? Mu Changxi frowned. The steward knelt and bowed. I am Han Zhong, pleading for Lord Mu's mercy. I seek the Emperor's justice. Su Jiyue was astonished. You are Han Luochen's man. Why have you come here? Han Zhong wept. I have served Han Luochen for many years and know his deep-seated crimes. The tragedy at the Su residence was orchestrated by him. He personally ordered the alteration of the criminal ministry's files, and the guard was silenced at his behest. I am terrified that I shall be the next to die. Li Li's gaze sharpened. Do you have evidence? Han Zhong produced a sealed letter from his bosom. This is a confidential letter detailing Han Luochen's collusion with foreign enemies, along with the location of his hidden weapons. I will reveal everything. I only hope for my life to be spared. Mu Changxi took the letter, and after perusing its contents, his expression brightened. This is excellent. With this letter, Han Luochen will have no way to refute, no matter how fiercely his supporters defend him. Colluding with enemies is a capital offense that none would dare condone. Su Jiyue took the letter, her fingers trembling. Father, mother, have you seen this? Finally, someone has testified against him. Guan Zhonghai knelt in tears. Heaven his eyes. Su Jiyue laughed heartily. Now let us see how Han Luochen can wriggle out of this. Cheng Jing waved his fan. Truly, when the path seems blocked, another opens unexpectedly. Yao Qiniang clapped her hands. Wonderful. At last, we can avenge Miss Su's family. Mu Changxi held the letter tightly. I will enter the palace immediately to meet the emperor. This time, we shall ensure that Han Luochen faces justice. He turned and hurried away, leaving the others in the courtyard, their hearts racing as they awaited the ultimate outcome. However, Less than half an hour later, hurried footsteps echoed from outside the courtyard, and a soldier burst in, panic-stricken. It is bad. Lord Mu was ambushed on his way to the palace. The letter was stolen, and he has sustained grave injuries. The group's expressions changed drastically. What? Lily exclaimed. Where's Brother Mu now? At the clinic at the street corner. Receiving treatment. Without hesitation, they rushed toward the clinic. Inside, Mu Changxi lay on the bed, a deep knife wound visible on his chest, his complexion pale and unconscious. The doctor shook his head in sorrow. The injury is too severe. Whether he survives depends on the will of heaven. Su Jiyue gazed at the gravely injured Mu Changxi, tears streaming down her face. It is all my fault. If it were not for the Su family's case, Brother Mu would not have suffered this fate. Lily tightened his grip on her shoulder. It is not your fault. It is Han Luocheng's madness. Han Zhong sat on the ground, his face ashen. It is over. The letter is gone, and Lord Mu is gravely injured. I cannot survive this. Hu Deyuan's eyes widened in fury. Han Luochen, I will not let you go unpunished. Cheng Jing's expression darkened. He intends to eliminate all witnesses and evidence. Yao Qiniang's eyes reddened. How can there be such a wicked person? Lily remained silent for a moment before speaking. The letter may have been stolen, and Brother Mu may be gravely injured. But we still have one last card to play. Everyone looked at him. What card? Lily's gaze was resolute as he turned to Su Jiyue. You. Me? Jiyue was taken aback. Yes. Lily nodded, stating, Tomorrow at the morning court, you shall personally present the truth of all that transpired back then. Han Luocheng's repeated silencing of witnesses will only serve to incriminate him further. The emperor is wise. He will discern the truth. Mu Changxi weakly opened his eyes. His voice barely a whisper. Brotherly is right. Tomorrow's court is our last chance. Han Zhong gritted his teeth. I will also attend the court tomorrow. Even if I must die, I will testify against Han Luochen. Lily looked at the others, speaking solemnly. Tomorrow will be the decisive battle. If we succeed, the Su family will be vindicated. If we fail, none of us will leave the capital. Su Jiyue wiped her tears, her gaze resolute once more. I shall go. Regardless of the outcome, I must seek justice for my parents. Cheng Jing smiled. With me here, no one can harm you. Hu Deyuan thumped his chest. I will risk my life to protect you all. Yao Qiniang gripped her blade tightly. Count me in. As night fell once more. This night felt longer than the one at Heifengzhai. The clinic's lights burned through the night, and the group stood vigil by Mu Changxi's bedside, quietly awaiting dawn. Lily stood by the window, gazing at the inky sky, his fingers lightly tapping the window frame. In this tumultuous journey through the rivers and lakes, they had weathered storms together, encountered old friends, and faced life and death. They were no longer the solitary figures they once were. He turned to look at Su Jiyue. Illuminated by the light, his heart at peace. Regardless of what the outcome would be the next day, he would not allow her to face it alone. Su Jiyue seemed to sense this, turning to meet his gaze with a slight smile. The light was gentle, illuminating her exquisite features. The long night was drawing to a close. Dawn was approaching. The final battle was imminent. Chapter 25. Confrontation in the Golden Throne Hall. Before dawn broke, everyone had already risen. Su Jiyue donned a clean, simple garment, her expression calm, showing no hint of fear. Lily adjusted her collar, speaking softly. Do not be nervous. Just speak the truth. Jiyue nodded. I am not nervous. With you by my side, I fear nothing. Han Zhong was prepared as well, his demeanor resolute. Today, even if it costs me my life, I will expose Han Luocheng's true nature. Mu Changxi remained unconscious, and the doctor said his survival depended on fate. Cheng Jing, Hu Deyuan, and Yao Qiniang disguised themselves, standing guard outside the palace, ready to assist at any moment. As the first light of dawn broke, Su Jiyue and Han Zhong entered the palace together. In the Golden Throne Hall, civil and military officials gathered, the atmosphere more solemn than usual. The emperor sat majestically on the dragon throne, his expression stern. Su Jiyue, Han Zhong, you stand before me today. What you have to say? Han Zhong knelt first. Raising his voice, Your Majesty, I am guilty. I have served Han Luocheng for many years, aiding him in his misdeeds, causing the demise of Lord Su's family, altering the criminal ministry's files, killing the prison guard, and attacking Lord Mu. All of this was at Han Luocheng's behest. I am willing to stake my life as testimony. Han Luocheng is guilty of grave crimes, and I implore your majesty to punish him severely." Han Luochen roared, stepping forward. "Nonsense! You treacherous servant! How dare you slander me before the emperor? Am I slandering you?" Han Zhong looked up, meeting Han Luochen's gaze. "The letter detailing your collusion with foreign enemies is hidden beneath the third brick of your study. The weapons you hoard are in a secret chamber in the western suburbs. I can find all of these." Han Luochen's face changed dramatically. You are spouting lies." The emperor spoke in a deep voice. "Guards, go to Han's residence and search immediately." The guards left to carry out the order, and the hall fell into a deathly silence. Han Luochen steadied himself, looking at Su Jiyue. "Miss Su, your father was known for his corruption and took his own life out of guilt. The world knows this. You are now being incited to harm me. How can you bear it?" Su Jiyue stepped forward, her voice clear. "Han Luochen, there is no need for you to continue your charade. In those years, my father refused to collude with you, and thus you harbored a grudge. During a banquet at the manor, it was you who poisoned the wine, leading to the demise of my entire family. You believe your actions were flawless, yet you failed to realize that the heavens are vast and all-encompassing, with no detail overlooked. What evidence do you possess?" Han Luochen sneered. "I have no evidence, but I possess eyes and a conscience." Su Jiyue's gaze was resolute. "I witnessed each person in the manor collapse one by one after your departure. My parents, in their final moments, still uttered your name, their hearts filled with disbelief. Do you believe you deserve their trust?" Her voice trembled slightly, yet every word echoed clearly within the grand hall. "You silenced witnesses, seized confidential letters, and assaulted loyal officials. Your deeds are utterly devoid of morality. Do you think that by eliminating everyone, you can conceal your crimes? You are mistaken. The world is watching, and the heavens are too." Among the officials, many nodded discreetly, their gazes towards Han Luochen filled with disdain. Han Luochen, in a fit of rage, retorted, "You speak nonsense. You have no evidence, only conjecture." "Conjecture?" At that moment, a weak yet clear voice emerged from outside the hall. Mu Changxi, battered and bruised, was supported as he entered the grand hall and knelt on one knee. "Your Majesty, I have something to say." "Mu Qin," the emperor exclaimed in surprise. "Your injuries are so severe. Why do you still come?" Mu Changxi gritted his teeth. "I shall testify against Han Luochen, even if it costs me my life. Han Luochen's correspondence with the enemy has long been recorded by me and concealed upon my person. The original was seized, but the copy remains." He retrieved a piece of parchment from his bosom, trembling as he raised it above his head. The eunuchs hurriedly presented it to the emperor, who, upon inspection, turned pale with rage and slammed his palm on the table. "Han Luochen, you possess audacity unmatched. How dare you conspire with the enemy and frame the loyal?" Han Luochen's face turned ashen, collapsing to the ground. At that moment, the guards returned from their search, kneeling to report, "Your Majesty, I have discovered the original of the correspondence with the enemy in Han's study, and a large cache of weapons in the secret chamber of the western outskirts. The evidence is irrefutable and beyond dispute." Han Luochen's subordinates trembled in fear, hastily distancing themselves from him. "I refuse to accept this. After years of plotting, to be defeated by a mere orphan. I will not accept it." The emperor shouted in fury, "Arrest Han Luochen. Imprison him in the celestial prison and execute him after autumn. His accomplices shall be thoroughly investigated, with no mercy." The guard surged forward, apprehending Han Luochen. He struggled and screamed, ultimately being dragged out of the grand hall, his voice fading into the distance. With the dust settled, the emperor turned to Su Jiyue, his expression softening. "Su Jiyue, your father, Lord Su, was a loyal minister of his time. The wrongful case from years past was due to my failure to recognize character, and I apologize for the injustice done to your family." Su Jiyue knelt in tears. "Your Majesty is wise. My family is grateful for your justice in clearing our name." Although Guan Zhonghai could not enter the hall, he heard the news outside the palace gates, kneeling and weeping. The emperor continued, "The wrongful case of the Su family has been rectified, restoring Lord Su's reputation and posthumously bestowing him a title. Su Jiyue, what is your wish? Speak freely." Jiyue shook her head. "I seek nothing more than for my father's innocence to be known across generations, that such injustices never occur again." The emperor nodded in approval. You are compassionate and righteous, a rare quality. I shall bestow you with 100 taels of gold and 1,000 acres of fertile land, in honor of the spirits of the Su family above. Thank you, your majesty. Exiting the golden hall, the sunlight enveloped her, warm enough to bring tears to her eyes. Lili awaited her outside the hall, hastening towards her. Did it succeed? Su Jiyue gazed at him, tears streaming down her cheeks, yet her smile was radiant. It succeeded. Lili, we have succeeded. I know. Lili gently embraced her. It is all over now. Cheng Jing, Hu Dayuan, and Yao Qiniang rushed to hear the news, each beaming with joy. How wonderful! We have finally avenged ourselves. That treacherous Han Luochen has received his due. Miss Su, you can rest easy now. Mu Hangqi, supported as he was, smiled weakly. At last, it wasn't in vain. Su Jiyue hurriedly approached. Brother Mu, you must return to rest. Mu Changxi nodded. Once I recover, I shall celebrate with you all. The group strolled along the streets of the capital, the sun shining brightly. Voices filled the air, creating an atmosphere of harmony. Su Jiyue looked up at the azure sky, murmuring, Father, Mother, do you see? The wicked are punished, and your innocence has finally returned. Lidisatut besideher. Softly saying, from now on, no one shall bully you again. Jiyue turned to her companions, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you all. Were it not for you, I could never have reached this day alone. Cheng Jing waved his hand. We are family. No need for such formalities. Yao Qiniang laughed. Exactly. From now on, we are sworn brothers and sisters. No matter where we go, we shall always think of one another. Hu Dayuan laughed heartily. Once Brother Mu recovers, we shall indulge in a grand feast. Only inebriation will suffice. Laughter echoed, reverberating through the long street. Years of grievances have been resolved in a single day. After the storm, the clear skies finally emerge. Yet the road ahead is long, and fate has already intertwined their lives. Their story has not yet concluded. Chapter 26. A reunion in the Jianghu. Han Luochen has been executed, and the Su family's old case has been cleared. The capital has returned to its former tranquility. Mu Changxi's injuries gradually healed, and in the court, discussions of merit and reward led to his reinstatement, gaining the emperor's trust. One day, everyone gathered at the old Su residence. The once desolate courtyard had been tended to, with plum blossoms in full bloom, their fragrance wafting through the air, reminiscent of years past. Su Jiyue stood in the center of the courtyard, gazing at every familiar tree and blade of grass, her heart overwhelmed with emotion. Father, Mother, I have returned home. Guan Zhonghai stood beside her, tears streaming down his aged face. Miss, we shall no longer have to wander aimlessly. Lidi apruruchit herside. Softly saying, it is all in the past now. Jiyue nodded, turning to her companions with a smile. Today, I shall host a feast in this courtyard to thank you all for your unwavering support. Yao Qiniang clapped her hands eagerly. Wonderful. I shall bring marinated pig's trotters. Hu Dayuan laughed. I will bring the wine. Plenty for all. Cheng Jing waved a fan. I will be in charge of eating and merrymaking. Mu Changxi also arrived with a smile. Today, let us speak of friendship, not politics. Within the courtyard, a stone table was set, adorned with plenty of food and wine, the fragrance of alcohol filling the air. The group sat together, laughter and joy resonating throughout. Hu Dayuan raised his cup. Cheers. To Lord Su's vindication, let us drink. Cheers. The group lifted their cups and drank heartily. Cheng Jing looked at Li and Su Jiyue, teasing. Now that the case is settled, it's time for you two to plan your future together, isn't it? Yao Qiniang immediately chimed in. Exactly. A perfect match, destined for each other. You should hasten to celebrate, so we can all enjoy a cup of celebratory wine. Su Jiyue's cheeks flushed, her head bowed in shy silence. Lili gazed at her, warmth radiating from his eyes, raising his cup. Once things are completely settled, I will take Jiyue away from the capital to find a serene place amidst the mountains and rivers, to live a peaceful life. Mu Changxi nodded. That sounds good. Political strife and the perils of the Jianghu cannot compare to a tranquil life. Should anything arise in the future, do not hesitate to seek me out. Guan Zhonghai chuckled. I am willing to follow the young lady and serve her for a lifetime. After 3 rounds of drinks and 5 dishes, Cheng Jing suddenly sighed. There is no banquet that does not end. When you leave the capital, I too must return to the Jianghu to wander and uphold righteousness. Hu Dayuan patted his shoulder. Excellent. I shall accompany you. Once the notorious 4 fiends of Kaifeng, we are now returning to the Jianghu to uphold justice and seek vengeance. Yao Qiniang, munching on a pig-s trotter, mumbled, I will tend to my marinated delicacies. Whenever you pass through the capital, remember to visit me for some trotters. I will give you a discount. The group exchanged smiles, their hearts filled with both reluctance and anticipation for the future. In the vast Jianghu, they met by chance, yet due to a wrongful case, forged an unbreakable bond. Even if they part ways in the future, this friendship shall never fade. The next day, Lili Yin Su Jiyue beat Fairville to Mu Hengzi. Mu Changxi escorted them to the city gate, clasping his hands. Travel safely. The road in the Jianghu is long. Remember to ride often. Thank you, Brother Mu, for your care over these days. Take care of yourself as well. Lili returned the gesture. Su Jiyue softly said, Brother Mu, thank you for your concern regarding court matters. It was my duty. Mu Hengzi smiled, wishing you both peace and joy for many years to come. Guan Zhonghai had already prepared the carriage, and Yao Qiniang, Cheng Jing, and Hu Dayuan all came to see them off. Remember to think of me, Yao Qiniang, with reddened eyes, said, when you pass through the capital. Be sure to visit me. Absolutely. Su Jiyue imbranjiter. Hu Dayuan scratched his head. If anyone bullies you in the future, send a message, and I will come at once. Cheng Jing waved his fan. Until we meet again in the Jianghu, may fate bring us together again. The carriage moved onward, gradually leaving the capital behind. Su Jiyue lifted the curtain, gazing at the receding city gate and her departing companions, tears in her eyes. Yet her smile remained gentle. Lili held her hand. It is all over now. We shall begin a new life together. Jiyue nodded, resting her head upon his shoulder. Indeed, with you by my side, anywhere feels like home. The carriage journeyed southward, traversing the verdant mountains and crystal waters, distance from the turmoil of the imperial court and the perils of the martial world. The plum blossoms had fallen, giving way to a sky painted with dawn's hues. In the distance, homesteads exuded wisps of smoke from their kitchens. The childhood lullaby echoed once more in her heart. In the fields, the plum blossoms fall. Which household's empty pavilion locks the morning glow? Now, the pavilion was no longer vacant, and the dawn had finally revealed its light. Months later, in a quaint town of Jiangnan, a small courtyard with a bamboo fence and thatched cottage flourished with blooming flowers. Lili held a scroll in his hands. Seated in the courtyard, while Su Jiyue brought forth a cup of tea, placing it before him. What do you read? A letter, Lili replied with a smile. Cheng Jing and Hu Dayuan are renowned for their chivalrous deeds in the martial world. Yao Qiniang's braised delicacies are thriving, and Mu Xiong is steadily rising in the court. Jiyue chuckled lightly. Everyone is faring well. Indeed, Lili grasped her hand, and we too. The sunlight was warm, and the passage of time was serene. Amidst the tumultuous journeys of the martial world, their destinies intertwined for a lifetime. They weathered storms together and finally found tranquility. From then on, they inquired not of courtly affairs, nor ventured into the perils of the martial realm, but cherished each other, sharing the joys of countless years. In the distance, the laughter of children mingled with faint melodies. All returned to a state of peace.